Welcome everyone to Soul Purpose Healing. I'm Viata, your host. I have got just the most fabulous guest for you tonight, and Dr. Heru El-By, just amazing person. So let's get right into welcoming my tiny house village first and foremost. And I look forward to all of you contributing tonight. I have my phone number up there scrolling in case you want to call in. And this is a collective gathering to raise our vibration, raise our frequency, and raise our consciousness. So, welcome to my tiny house village. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right. We are back, and thank you all for being here. Today is March 30th, 2025. One more day, and whoop, adios to March. Where did all the March energy, Pisces energy go? Well, it's right here in me, Pisces energy here. And my guest is a Scorpio, I found out. In fact, my guest was born on the same day as my ex-husband. So synchronicities always at work. And so that's why I love doing the drumming every show to bring in the energy of our ancestors who are always working to show us synchronicities and perfect timing. We're just in a perfect timing mode these days. Even the craziness going on in our government, it's all perfect timing. So let's just drum in, bring in our ancestors. I don't know what happened here. Bring in our ancestors with Becca Shea. Let's see, move that. Okay. With Becca Shea, and see what's going to happen today. I just don't know. It's always something new. But let me bring in Becca Shea. Get your drums out, and let's just drum in with the harmony of heartbeat.
And has blood has run some people forgot. From every tribe and language, people, every nation. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. It's your time to rise and shine. Wake up, you sleeping giant. The wounds of injustice are being healed by the peace. Oh Yahweh is bringing us power through unity. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. Tribals come alive. Yeah, wake up, you sleeping giant. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat. I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat. I I feel your heartbeat. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry. Out, out for your heartbeat. Your heartbeat. Oh, your heartbeat. This is the hour to know whose side to stand by. Raise up the standard in battle for every fellow tribe. Our warriors are fighting. There's a revival igniting. Search for such a time. Yeah, arise, you blazing fire. Brave and stand firm and listen to your destiny. The rhythm of our Father moves with victory. Where warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. So, my soul, God, and our eyes blazing fire. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, yeah, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. Together we cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat.
I just love that song. I love that song. I love that song so much because I see one of the biggest problems we have in America, and especially in the Black community, is division, division, division. We are really struggling with coming to unity about everything, pretty much. I mean, I have a friend who's been very sick lately, and even he and I are divided on some very key issues that are my beliefs are very strong about certain things, and we can't even be unified in that area. So I love that song because it really helps us to think about the power of the Most High. He loves they love unity. The Creator, the universe is unified. Universe, unified, cosmic order of things, unified. There's no division in the cosmos, and we are microcosms of that in that energy, and yet so few of us can come to agreement about anything these days. But there's hope. There's hope because when you listen to spiritual teachers who are talking about third dimension, fourth dimension, this is a normal transition that we're all going through. This chaos that we see in our government, in our families, lots of disease, lots of disease these days in our society. I mean, I'm on 2 Facebook posts for breast cancer help, and I was just surprised at how so many women are suffering with this disease. So that's why I wrote a book, republished my book that I wrote 11 years ago. And I wrote this book after my sister passed. And so it was 11 years ago that I wrote the book. I think I started writing the book after after my sister passed, it was a 9-month journey with her, and I started writing the book. Let's see, I'm gonna bring it up. I started writing the book because during her during my sister's struggle with breast cancer, I was journaling. And that's how, if you want to be an author, just start journaling your life story. I've been journaling the past couple of years since I was in a new relationship, and it started to manifest conflict and problems. So part of Soul Purpose Healing started this as Blog Talk Radio, because I was journaling a lot. What should I do? What why am I in this marriage? Whatever. I was just journaling. And then the idea came to start a blog talk show, Soul Purpose Healing. All it came into my mind and heart. And I started this blog talk show, and I started journaling. And next thing you know, when my sister passed, I took the journal and looked at it and said, people need to hear this. People need to know the struggles that women go through, that people are going through, and how it can be resolved, because it can be a challenge anytime you got a diagnosis from a doctor. But the soul purpose healing comes when you look at your journey on this earth as one to evolve. Okay, we are here to grow and learn lessons, right? So whatever you're going through, just think of it as we're in school. We're in school right now. And if you're having a hard time with exams, tests coming your way, and you don't know, I'm worried about the tests in my life, whether it's a new relationship or a new job or what, just think of it as a school. If you're an adult now, just think of all the struggles you had when you were in elementary school. This is the same process. How did you pass your test in elementary school? Well, you had to study. And as an adult, I highly recommend the study time should be in going within and meditating, because you've already, if you've gotten through high school and college, you've already gained enough experience in life and enough knowledge from books to know what's right or wrong. So your next step when you're trying to solve a problem, psychology of adjustments comes in. That's my favorite class from my dad. And it's a matter of going within, listening to the kingdom within you. All these organs and tissues within you actually are talking to you. Even your brain is receiving signals from the Most High, cosmic order, the universe, on how to resolve problems. It really is. Every day, the universe wants to help us solve problems. In fact, the answer is already there. If you have a question today, believe me, the answer is waiting for you. We have to just be quiet, go into quietness, and stop talking and stop listening to other voices. Sometimes the best solution comes when you're just alone by a tree in your house, and some music, soft music, or when you're not, your nervous system is not in disruption or upset about anything. That's when the answers come, the solutions come. So this book that I just republished was re-edited over the last 3 or 4 months of 2024. I spent a lot of time re-editing this book, finding a new cover. And lo and behold, I joined these groups on Facebook for breast cancer strugglers or sufferers. And I thought, wow, that's why this book had to come out, because people are confused. Women are confused and sad and hopeless. Some of them are very optimistic, and some are not. So this book is always dedicated to my sister and her journey, because she taught me the importance of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. That's how we can change the chemistry in our body from dis-ease to homeostasis or peace. And that's the goal for all of us. Those of us who don't have a disease, we're looking to do all these other things. But people who have a disease, there's only one thing that they're concerned about mainly is healing their body. So Soul Purpose Healing is here to direct you and help you figure it out when you're in conflict, when you're in sadness, depression. We're here to help you go to the level of why are you here? Why are you on this planet? And then look at whatever challenge you're having as a lesson. And in the school of life, it's a boot camp for sure. And this book, From Fear to Faith in the Master Design, will direct you to look at this master computer. This is a biological computer that our soul lives in. And it is the most awesome computer on the planet. All the other computers, I believe, were designed after the human body, because when you look at the mechanisms and the functioning of this body, it all goes back to, or it directs you to, man's computers function the same way as this body. But if you don't know about how this body really is designed to help you, and number one, how this body is designed in love. It's all about love. So let us just take a moment. And so this book, my book is available on Amazon.com. And let me put that up. Amazon.com. It's also available on Barnes and Noble. And if you send me email, or if you send a Cash App of $7.99 to my Cash App, which is here on the screen, then I'll send you the PDF right away, because it's only available as an ebook. And I'm telling you, it is going to really open the eyes of those who read it to how simple healing can be when you go into the faith of this master design, the body. And it's moving toward enlightenment, which enlightenment is all about knowing the Creator more, better, and having a closer relationship with your Creator. That's what this moving toward enlightenment is all about, having a closer relationship with the cosmic energy force that you were created from. We are all star seeds of light. So the book will help you become one, unified with all the cosmic order of love, wisdom, compassion, all the higher vibrations that will heal your body. Once you get into the master design function, how it works, and the why we're evolving, then you are going to know that your body can heal, and there will be no more fear. And that's basically, and I tell many stories in this book of the people I met, the synchronistic situations. Okay, I sent. Okay, my guest. The link I have is a YouTube link. I need StreamYard link. Okay, StreamYard. It's an email. Okay. Okay, my guest is trying to come in. Maybe I'll just send him. Let me see if I can send him. I'll send him the email here. I'll send him an email, I guess. Okay, let's see. Da, 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 da. 347. Okay, pardon me. I'm trying to get my guest in here. And he's not seeing his email, I guess. Okay. All right, we're getting there. So thank you all for joining us. This is going to be such an enlightening show with my guest, because he is so gifted and talented. And I am so grateful to have him. Okay, no. So I'm so grateful to have him joining me. So welcome everybody. And I hope that you will comment and contribute tonight as we get to know this very special man. So I think he's here. We're going to bring him in. Okay, so, okay, here we go. Greetings, Dr. Heru.
Peace and love, peace and love. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing good. It is a beautiful night in Florida, and you're in New York, right?
Yes.
So what's the weather like there? Is it warming up any?
The last few days has been nice and sunny.
Oh,
Yeah, it's starting to break, at least to make you think that it's going to break, and then you don't want to get too comfortable though, because as soon as you get comfortable, it gets cold.
well, it's funny. That's the way Florida has been for the last month or two. We thought it was going to be springtime and then went down to 38 degrees. And in fact, in January, I went to Belize. Have you ever been to Belize?
I have. I love Belize.
Oh, that wasn't my place. You know why? Because I love beaches. Living in Florida, I just love white sandy beaches, and they don't have that in, at least not in where my guests took me. So, and then it was so crowded, and so it was so many things about it that I was like, I'm glad I went because my guest was amazing. She and her husband treated me like royalty. So I drove around. You went to darkness. Drove around and saw all of Belize City, and then we took a boat to Key Calkin. You ever been there?
Key Calkin, yep.
We went there, and I thought we were going to go to a nice beach. That didn't happen either. So it was beautiful, people. But what was your experience there?
So with Belize, you have to have if you do it's like a lot of places that you travel, you have to have people that are from there that can take you to the non-touristy spots. You know what I mean? Because
She actually was born there.
she was born there. Maybe she don't know the spots though too. It could have been that too, because you have to know, right? It's just like anything else. If you don't know, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but there's like the Rastafarian community is there. They have a huge Rastafarian community. And I'm trying to think of the name of that area. It's outside, but it's beach. It's on the beach though. And usually what they'll do is they'll try to convert you to the places where you'll find the most melanin, and they'll just name whatever's on their mind. A lot of times when people say, "Oh, you need to go that way," and they just send you that way. So I found that there's a lot of what I wasn't really doing a lot of touristy stuff. I was more so dealing with the sacred medicines, and they have a nice shamanistic community there. And I was able to we did sweat lodges and ayahuasca retreat. So that was my experience.
I did go to the Mayan temple area. That was interesting. But yeah, touristy stuff.
Touristy, and the thing is that that's interesting too, is that Mayan, the name fits it so well because it is an illusion, like they've done with so many other things. Is that the true identity of the Mayans is an illusion? So who they say is the Mayans is not actually the Mayans.
What does that mean?
It means that they were black. That's what that means. It means straight up and down they were melanated men and women who were called the Tomoan Khan. And not the Mayan. The Mayans, the name Mayan came from the local people. Once they transitioned into the area, then the name they gave themselves, or the name that they gave the Tomoan Khan, was Mayan.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? We're learning it's like we have to relearn everything. Just throw out what they taught us in elementary school and high school. Just start all over because it wasn't true. Half of it wasn't true. So let me just officially introduce this brother, Dr. Heru El-By. because he has such a fascinating history and journey in life so far. And then I just learned he has the same birthday as my ex-spouse. So this is a synchronistic moment. He's like my brother already. And really, we've probably been together in a past life somehow, because this is just no coincidence that all these new things are happening. So this brother, Dr. Heru El-By, let me read. He's a Haitian and Native American shaman, founder of chief instructor of Alchemy Temple Mystery School, esoteric classes there, lectures, rite of initiation, indigenous occult courses, specialized breathing. I really want to talk about that because that's my thing. I think the breath is worship. And so I want to do the best worship I can. I want to be at perfect my breathing to a point where it's pure worship. And then 3 and 5 year doctorate program. He's an author, a musician. Dr. Heru, welcome to Soul Purpose Healing, and thank you so much for taking time out, because you got to be pretty busy doing your spiritual assignment.
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about your childhood, because where you are today, where did you come into Earth from, first of all, as a star seed? Everybody's a star seed. So where did you land when you came into Earth, and how did that develop with your relationships with your family and so forth?
Well, I was born in Dessalines, Haiti, and my background is dealing strictly with the self as an immortalist. So my premise on understanding spirits is the fact that we in the flesh hold all the cards above the ancestors, above any deity or anything like that. We actually hold all the crown is on our heads, because we make every single decision, we make every single choice, and like that. And that's how I've always been. So like growing up and hearing the Bible and trying to understand it within myself, trying to actually ingest those things like that. I found out that I was always a rebel heart. Okay, so I always said, well, how do you know? And then my mother would say, well, it says in the Bible. And I say, well, who cares what somebody else tells me? They tell me it's written in a book or something like that. But what about people because they said, when I was young, they said everybody's going to have to make this decision. They're all going to have to choose. Every knee's going to bow, every tongue will confess, everybody's going to know. And I said, well, what if it's a person that lives in the bush, that they don't have books? Their information is passed down through hunter gatherer, is very traditional in the roles, and like they don't have outside information coming in like that. So what happened with them? What happens and I had all these hard questions. I would constantly ask questions that nobody could ever answer.
So
And
you had the Bible teaching in Haiti when you were growing up?
they have the Bible teaching, and the places where you think there is no Bible, there is Bible.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And so the name Catholic, which means universal church, which all the Christians are nothing but Catholic subsidiaries, right? So you have, in the Catholic program, you have three main programs. You have Christianity, which breaks up into all those thousands of branches. You have Islam, okay, which is a Catholic principle, a Catholic function, a Catholic program, and then you have Judaism. And those three programs have blanketed every corner of the bush in Africa and the indigenous islands, all through the Caribbean islands. We're talking about Taino, Arawak, all these native places, and all through the Americas. It's been blanketed. So it's definitely there. And right now, if you go to Haiti, you will find a great deal of Haitians dealing in Christianity.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
That,
It's a major.
yeah, that's sad in a way, because
It's extremely sad.
yeah, because most of what we hear about Haiti is crime and poverty. And so is the crime and poverty, you think, a result of having that too much religion?
No, the crime and poverty are strictly due to the worldwide embargo that was set on Haiti for the independence that it achieved in 1804. because of that embargo, they have restricted trade. So they to this day they don't trade with Haiti. And if you see Haiti, Haiti is the most beautiful island in the West. And on top of that, is rich with oil. The oil that's underneath the island makes Venezuela look like a drop in the ocean.
I think what's her name? Hillary Clinton knew that because she invaded Haiti trying to take it all up. Yeah, we know what they were looking for. Thank you.
And
Go
the earthquake was a part of that as well. You know,
really
the
plan.
earthquake is part of that. The harp and shaking the earth up to try to. They had those big pumps going underneath the island. It's all about money. So that's the reason why Haiti's poor, because Haiti beat up Napoleon, whooped him up real good, smacked him up real good, beat up his whole army, right, with this spiritual practice, sent him all the way back to France. His army died, right? Napoleon, this is documented. Napoleon was whining like a little baby, okay? And they won't tell you this in the head, but it's recorded, okay? He was whining like a little baby and said, "I just want to go back to France." Right, and he had the land grant for New Orleans, for what they call the Louisiana Purchase, which was over 18 million acres, coming from Maine all the way down through New York, going to Florida, and all the way over to Pueblo, Colorado. That was the land grant that Napoleon had, that he was supposed to turn into French territory. But because he got beat up by the Haitians, he sold the land grant to Marquise, the Spanish explorer. Remember, Napoleon stole that land grant to begin with from Washita, from the Empress, right? Stole it from the Washita Empire, had it, went into the Caribbean islands, set up these plantations. They were just running amok, doing what they wanted to do, right? So when he got sick, he said, "Look, I want to go home. I just want to go home. I don't even want this land grant. I don't want nothing to do with this." So he sold it to Marquise. Marquise ended up meeting the Washita Empress's daughter, fell in love with her, married her, and died. And the land grant came back to Washita from his death. And that's how Washita got the land grant back. So they were constantly going back to court trying to get the land resubmitted to give the acreage back to the tribe. And the year that O.J. Simpson had that case with that was the day of the O.J. Simpson case, was the distraction that they used to distract people from knowing that they were giving back 10% of that land to the Washita Empire. And they issued out 67,770 acres of land to the empire and gave out 10 stipulations. And the stipulations were normalized stipulations that any sovereign nation in the world has to have these stipulations to call themselves sovereign. Simple things like having your own schools, hospitals, having your own religious system, having some kind of trade, some kind of building, some kind of, so these different stipulations they gave to us in way back in the 90s, right? But the organization of the people, and to actually get people to actually imagine having 70,000 acres with these niggas. No police, right? You don't have a police force.
Yeah.
Right? You say, "Oh, we don't care about the police," but imagine having no police.
Yeah.
Right? With a bunch of people who just can do whatever they want when they want. So the land's just sitting there.
Oh wow.
Right? Wow. So I think anyway, in a long answer to the question is that it was systematic for Haiti to actually be under that foot right there. The independence was gained, but it has to be gained here.
Right.
And that's the problem.
So when did you leave Haiti?
As a child, about 8 years old.
Okay.
I came here at 8.
That's the same time my dad left New Orleans. He was about 8 or 9. He left New Orleans going north, so people were definitely traveling. So you came here and at the age of 8 with your mom, both parents?
Yes.
Okay, and they put you. So you learned. Did you go to college, or you just learned all that you needed to learn in?
I went to college also, but okay. So long to the short, that's a funny story. Like I was going to law school, right? And these people, they in class. You know, I'm in class with police officers, lawyers. I mean, it was criminal justice, so I wasn't in law school. I was in criminal justice to prepare to go to law school, right? So I'm in there with all kind of police officers, everybody, right? So one day they asked a question. They said, "Hey, you know, if we stopped you, if the police stopped you, and they wanted to search your car, would you let them?" And I said, I was like, "No." And everybody said, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." And I was like, so he came to me and he said, "No." And I'm like, and I'm 6'5". I'm sitting in the top, in the front of the class. I'm one of those dudes. So I'm like, I'm in there, and I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Why?" So I tell him, like, first of all, and I start breaking down the law. Legally, let me search your car. Like, why you want to search my car for? Like, if I can't search your car, why do you need to search my car? Especially if you have no probable cause. And this dude looked at me and said, "You know too much." He,
Oh,
he said, "You know too much," right? So about a week later, I started getting these notices in the mail. They changed my financial aid.
oh boy.
They changed it. They forged the signature on there. They changed the whole application. Changed the information on there. Anyway, make a long story short, they wanted to try to tax me. They was like, you have to pay more money or whatever. The loan that they gave me, they want me to pay the loan back before I could go in the next semester.
Wow.
Right. So they didn't know I know people. My brother was a financial aid director at HBCU. So I just called my brother, and my brother got the records released to me, and I just boom. And then from that point, I decided that I didn't want to deal in their system at all. I didn't want to deal with anything they had going on because I have to unlearn the common sense. In one of my psychology classes, I heard this lady say she was quoting Sigmund Freud. They call him Sigmund. I call him Sick Man. They was quoting Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud said that, and this is what the professor is saying out loud in front of this whole class. She says, she's quoting, she says, the highest state that a man can reach is to have sex with a 10-year-old boy. And I said, wait, hold on. She kept talking like she didn't just say that, right? She kept talking. I said, hold on, wait, what'd you just say? And I'm like, read that back. And she read it again, and I was like, "Oh hell no!" So I start spazzing in class, right? I start going off, right? And I'm like looking at all the peers around me, right? And it's mostly Caucasians, right? But
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yo, did y'all just hear what she just said?"
Right.
And it started like, I mean, this is 5-10 minutes. Like I won't let the lady talk, right? So I'm causing a disruption, and so the other students start saying, "Hold up." It's like it was like a trickle down effect, like they couldn't hear it. It was like the Matrix for real. They really heard it, but they didn't hear it. They could even quote it back to you without even knowing what they're quoting. They heard it. So from that, I slowly just backed out of their whole system because there was too many synchronicities, and I was like, I don't belong here. I can't function among what you're doing. Plus, everything is melanin deteriorating. None of it is building. You're teaching math in the early morning, which as a solar person, solar sciences are to be taught during the hours of the sun, which when the sun is on the incline, not on the decline. So that means before 12. Math, science, music, anything dealing with frequencies, anything dealing with science, all those are solar sciences. They need to be taught in the morning. And I was like, everything about them. They had all my math classes in the evening time. They won't let you change it if you ask them because I know that they know. See, this is not a science that I just came up with. This is a science. They know this when they put it together. So I started asking my friends, what time is your math class? Man, I've been trying to get my math in the morning forever. They won't let me do it. So I started noticing patterns. And I was able to hook up with a few of my colleagues who there was a sister who was a doctor. She was an MD already, and she was in my psychology class. And we were discovering melanin to that degree at the same time. And she quit her practice because she was being forced to diagnose babies at 6 months old with ADHD. And she's
What?
and this was they were doing it. She said they were doing it all the time.
Now, there was
And
this in New York?
this was in she was from Atlanta, but I was in New York at the time.
Okay.
And she was from Atlanta, and she was having to issue, this is back in the 90s, early 2000s. And
Wow.
they were issuing the young black boy specifically with this ADHD medication, and that was like the last straw. Then I started noticing how the Leo children around the way in the neighborhood where I'm from, like if your baby was a Leo, there was always something going on where they were dealing with the spinal cord, spinal taps, right? They always want to go, they always want to separate the baby after birth for a period of time when nope, you can't even, they don't have windows, you can't even see what's going on. So these were the things that made me pull away from their system. And I started asking the professors questions and all of that, and they don't care. They want to talk about the same things over and over. So I pulled out of it.
Well, you know, when you say they wanted to give drugs for ADHD, that just reminds us of where we are now in this debate about autism. Because we know, many of us know, the jab that they gave black boys especially created the autism.
Facts.
And actually RFK Jr. has talked about this a lot, that the CDC knew that those MMR jabs were causing autism, especially in black boys, and they covered it up. So now it's all coming to light. And now you're telling me that back in the 90s, which probably meant they were giving those jabs and creating the autism. And then it's like, here, we got a drug for you. Now that you have this problem, we got a drug for you.
There you go. That's right. It definitely creates autism, and they have a lot of studies to show that it does, to prove that it creates, and they know it. They know it does. They know it does.
Well, the drugs, that's like with everything nowadays. Even the last 4 years of COVID, it was all about creating a sickness so they could give us more drugs. Because now you got a lot of people with cancer who got it because of the jab. This is such a crazy world we live in. So I'm so glad you're here to give us a lot of history and enlighten us about how we can manage this tempo in a way to overcome this craziness, because it's like insanity all around us. Especially, like, I like what you said, you have to pull out of the system. The matrix tells it all, that we can get caught up in that system or we can pull out of it. So, oh my goodness. So how did you become like, as I guess as a result of all that pulling out, you became what we would say a shaman. Tell people what a shaman was and is today.
Well, a shaman specifically is someone who is dealing with the sacred medicines, and who is able to shuttle between the relationship between the medicine that it has on the psychosis and on the spiritual self, through health, spiritually, and to be able to help deal with the environment. Whether it is a human issue, like somebody's dealing with money, blockages or things like that, then the shaman is the one that can come in through those medicines and help clear that pathway out. I think now the term shaman is being overused, just like the term narcissistic, just like the term witch, right? Just like the term spiritualist, or all these different terms that in their true essence, they actually are speaking of someone who is literally adhering to these certain specific principles. So me, myself, I have had the opportunity to work with a few prominent elders. I've always surrounded myself around the elders, and so I've always received a lot of information on that. I did get the chance to study with Dr. Sabi before he passed. It was funny. I was at a meeting the first time I met him, and I was showing up late, like I do, right? I come in 5-10 minutes late. That's like my religion. I always do that. I've done this since I was little. I've had everybody be like, "Yo, come on, stop coming late," but I just naturally do that, right? So I came in.
Rhythm.
It's a natural rhythm. It is what it is, because I feel like I have to go with the flow, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm either gonna create the flow or I'm gonna go with the flow, and so that's what I do. So I came into his meeting, or maybe that's just a good excuse for a lay person. I don't know, but
CPT, or conscious people's time.
yeah, exactly. So I came in. It was packed house, right? I get in there and I find a seat. And I'm like, "Ooh, it's right in the middle, right in the middle." I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is perfect." So I walk down the aisle, I get down there, and I'm sitting right in front of the camera. And because I'm like tall, they like, "You can't sit here, bro. You got to move." So I'm like, "Ah." So I get up, and I notice there's a seat right in the very front row, right in front of him, right. And so I'm like, kind of like walk up there, and I sit down. And make a long story short, his lectures are open, right. So like if he's giving a lecture and there's a point he just says something, you like, hold on, wait a minute, you have a question, you can just ask. So that's how the lecture was set up. So he asked me a question, he asked everybody a question. I ended up answering the question with everybody in the crowd, and then he started responding to me. And then this hour and a half, 2 hour lecture ended up being a conversation between he and I.
Wow.
We just ended up, we just kept talking, and all of that. And then at the end of the lecture, he came to me and was like, look, what's up, man? What are you doing? Like he could see what I was dealing with, and he told me, let's go. Just let's go. I jumped on the plane with him and left.
What?
And I ended up leaving that weekend with him. And that's how he and I got a chance to connect.
You went
Um
back to his house on the plane?
yeah, left with him
And so you were
that
being,
same weekend.
and you were, how long did you stay with him?
I was there for months, but I left and came back a lot. Yeah, and then he
You
had
really are in rhythm with synchronicities. My goodness.
absolutely.
How
I
did
had
you
I mean, I've met all of my teachers. I've met that way. I met just on some humbug, just on humbug. Like Dr. Delbert Blair is another one.
Oh,
Um,
Mama AZ is gonna love you. Mama AZ is my, you probably heard her on my shows if you listen. She loved Dr. Delbert Blair. She talks about him all the time.
man, Dr. Blair was so cool. And you know what I love about him and Dr. Sabi. The thing about these brothers is that they're regular people. So like when you talk to them, they had they act. You feel like you at the house. It doesn't feel like, like, oh, this is Dr. Sabi. He's just like, hey, he's talking, he's regular, he's doing normal things. So Dr. Blair, he called up some people from the audience. I volunteered to go up. And at the end, he snatched me by my jacket. He said, hold up. He said, come holler at me when this is over. And I did. And he actually he connected me with someone that
Hold
I
on.
dated with for a few years. And he was really close. And I felt very upset when he transitioned, not because he transitioned, but the fact that it wasn't like a big deal. I didn't even if I didn't know people to call me and tell me, I wouldn't have seen it. I didn't see it on the internet.
Hold
I
on.
didn't I didn't I didn't hear it announced. It wasn't on the news. They weren't talking about it online. It just happened. And if I didn't know the people, then I would never have known. And that's what I'm noticing as a theme for a lot of the most powerful leaders. When they transition, nobody knows, or nobody, if they do know, they don't even talk about it. My godfather, when he transitioned, it was me, myself, and one other person in the room with him, and thousands of followers, and nobody was there. And that's what I started learning. Like the individualism is real, because thinking, oh, I want a lot of people at my funeral, but you're not gonna be there to like know it. Don't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's how you live that makes the difference.
Yeah. So, what is your biggest takeaway from knowing Dr. Sebi and Delbert Blair?
Accountability. You know,
Accountability. That's what we're
there
talking about.
there is no we. There is a we in far as there being individuals who are individually connected. But as far as a community, you can't really rely on that, because it's not like moving to a neighborhood and then everybody has to go to the same gas station or everybody go to the same store. So that's a community store. But in the spiritual sense, people are gonna do what they are gonna do, and they put up a good front. They'll act one way in public. They have a persona. They have all these different ways of being and things like that. And I just learned that really the individualism is what matters, because it doesn't matter if you have a million people with you. It doesn't matter if you help a million and one people. It doesn't matter, because those people can never go pee for you. They have a limit. They like you, they give you accolades, and they say, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But when it comes down to it, when you drink that gallon of water, the only one that can help you is you. And so that's kind of what I took away from them, is that you have to really be accountable for your level of progress and your level of defeat. There's no savior coming to save you. There is no help. The only help that you're ever going to get is what you, even when someone does come to help you, that's a reflection of your own help, right? Somebody comes to help you, that's a reflection of help. Somebody loves you, that's a reflection of your love. When somebody's mean to you, the chances are that it's a reflection of something. It may not be what you were doing in that moment. It may not be something that you're doing directly to someone. It could just be simply as a thought.
So how would you explain a child? I have a friend who's really suffering right now, and he had a very abusive childhood. His parents gave him away. He was the fourth child, I think. Parents gave him away to an aunt who just beat him all the time, made him treated him like a slave. So, is there any explanation or understanding we can gain as to why a child has to receive such abuse at such a young age? What's your thought on that? I mean, we could think about karma, but are there any other areas that we can understand that type of a situation?
Absolutely. So there's several pointers, and karma is like a loose way to speak of it, but there's something called cosmic contracts, right? So the contracts that we create for ourselves when we we decide our gender. Are we gonna be man or woman? Are we gonna be rich or poor? Or is this gonna be our parent? Is it gonna be like a parent that is absent, or a parent? Are we gonna have both of our parents? Are we gonna be adopted? Is it gonna be that all those are part of our contracts, right? So pain of all kinds, all types, and all sorts of pain literally is designed to give us a bridge, right, from awareness, because at some point we have awareness, and then there's a gap between the awareness. We lose the awareness, and it creates that gap, right, that pit. And then in order to get back to awareness, we have to create a bridge from ourself over that abyss, over that pit, back to awareness. And pain is that bridge. So
Mm.
a lot of these situations, I've noticed, like, a lot of the clients that I have over the years, a lot, I would say maybe 85% of the women who were Aquarius were adopted.
Mm.
It's just a pattern that I just happened to notice,
Mm.
where I noticed that a lot of the adopted women were Aquarius. I mean, it could even be as high as 90% of these women were adopted.
So what
Matter of
about
fact, now
me?
that I'm thinking about it, out of all the adopted ones, I would say almost 100% of them were Aquarius, with the exception of being that it kind of drops down because maybe they weren't adopted, but they were raised by only one parent. You know what I'm saying? So I noticed that's just an example of a pattern. You know what
What
I'm
about
saying?
any pattern in the men?
The men, I noticed with Pisces men, they usually, Pisces in general, have a conflict with one parent or the other. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It could be that they're very, very close with one. There's usually some kind of issue with the Pisces, what I've noticed with the men with parents, but that's about it.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, that's interesting. So a child who experiences a lot of abuse, pain, suffering, you're saying the cosmic contract is the element that creates that.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. So I had a ex-girlfriend, and I came to the house one day, and she was like crying, right? So, automatically Scorpio put me in like, ooh, like, ooh, right? I'm like, what's up? What's up? And she was, and I'm like, yo, what's up? And she's like, oh man. She was like, yo, sit me down. So they sit me down, and I'm like, what's good? And they like, uh, they had a molestation situation in the family, right? So a cousin died. The father had the children. These are his daughters. He had two daughters, molesting both his daughters. The children not speaking, blah blah blah. So I'm like, oh, let's get him, right. So we set up the space to do this thing, right. So and I'm like, every day I'm dedicated to getting this. I got new ideas today than I had yesterday. I'm like, we're gonna do this today. We're gonna get him back, right. So First, I did the reading to make sure that it was accurate. It was accurate. So we set the reading up. We get into it. So I start stating the rules of the house or rules of engagement, certain things that you can't do in the house and things like that. And so they started saying, oh, well, they basically were trying to push all the work onto me. They want me to do everything. And I said, no, I'm just I'm hosting you. It's your family members. It's your work, your situation. You do the work. I'll walk you through it. They didn't want to do it. So they wanted to put it on me. So a few days later, I hadn't mentioned this to anybody. My godfather comes, he comes to me, he's mad. He's like, boy, what y'all doing? I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, hey, he started asking me what I'm doing. And so about this little girl. And I start telling him, like, yeah, well, I did the calm down. First of all, I did the reading. Okay, because I know what you're gonna say. Make sure I did the reading, make sure I'm not interfering with nothing. I did the reading. I did do the reading, and it did happen. And he
When you
said,
say you did the reading, what does that mean?
I wanted to find out, was this thing true?
Where they were molested?
Were they molested? Did he
Okay.
actually do this thing, or is it like speculation?
So you
Did
go
he?
into a meditation of sorts to
I
get
did a divination.
divination. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
So I did the reading. I found out that he did do this thing, and that everything that they were saying was true to the T, right? So that's why I was like on go mode, right? So he said to me, he said, "Don't ever." He was like, "No," he said, "because you don't know who those little girls are." And I said, "Yeah, I do. That's what's the name, niece." He said, "No, who are they?" No, no, no. Her name, I got it. Her name is what? He said, "Who are they?" I said, "No." He said, "Before now." He said, "Who were those little girls? Who did they? How did they end up in this body? Who were they?"
Oh, before they incarnated.
Before they took this cardinal form, who were they? And I went into the details of those little girls. Whoa, man, let me tell you, I felt stupid for interfering.
Oh,
So children, unfortunately, because in the human mind, you say, oh, they're children. Now, of course, nothing should happen like that, right? Of course. But when it happens, the process of how it got to be that way, we have spiritual amnesia, right? So depending on how that could even happen, because you have another child over here who is protected by uncles, aunties, grandmothers, cousins, siblings, mother and father, right? That would never happen to them. You know what I'm saying? Then you have another one over here who has no protection. So how do you have that situation set up? We're talking about contracts, cosmic contracts. So the pain, that's an extreme situation, but the pain of someone like the gentleman you mentioned, where he's ended up going to an auntie beat the hell out of him, basically treating him like crap, you know what I'm saying? And like that is a painful bridge, right? It's a painful bridge. It doesn't necessarily mean that there was a contract or that there was some sort of karmic situation that he was in, because really the adult in that situation has the ultimate. Remember, we talk about spirits and all of that. Who has the power? We do. We're the ones breathing, making all the decisions. So the adult is the one that didn't have to beat him. They didn't have to talk to him that way. They didn't have to treat him like animals. She didn't have to do that. She chose to do that. So it doesn't mean that there's necessarily a contract. It just means that there could be a contract. And for the child, what he has to do is he has to take, especially if that pain has become a pattern, right? If the pain has become a pattern, then there's a pattern for him to follow that he needs to break. If he breaks the pattern of looking at the pain in a painful way, right? It's just like when you ever seen a fight and like a UFC fight or a boxing exhibition or something, right? And when there's blood and they're like hitting each other, and it's like you think after that 50th hit, they don't feel it anymore. They're not like, oh, he's gonna hit me. I can't hit him because he's gonna hit me back. They don't care about getting hit back. They're in a war, right? So that's what's happening with the brother. He's in a war, and he can't be flint. You don't flinch because the person swung. You have already been hit. You know what the hit feels like, so you have to face it head on. And there's something called reverse bioengineering, right? Where we are reversing the engineering of our thinking process and of the thought. And pain is the part of the brain, of the part of our experience that tells us, it's like a beep 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 beep, you're getting too close, stay away from this. Beep beep beep, you're getting too close, stay away from that. Beep 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 beep, don't do that, you're getting too close, right? So that's what the pain is. So when the pain hits and it just hits, then you're stepping on a landmine and it's letting you know, get off the landmine.
Well, I think part of it is religion has us thinking that I mean what you're suggesting is that there is a way to come out of that pain and suffering, but religion and the Bible says, well, there's only one way, Jesus, for instance.
Right.
So I think that's part of the not even Jesus, but the word. People get so caught up in the Bible that that's the only solution they see. If it's not in there, if they don't see the solution in the Bible, then they can't look at yoga or some other Eastern
Right.
philosophy that's
Uh-huh.
because Christianity, in my opinion, tell me if you agree, Christianity demonized yoga.
Absolutely.
And so if you have a belief system, in fact, I was going to ask you, first of all, let me stop because Mama AZ called in and I think she has a question. So are you okay to take a question at this point?
Absolutely.
Mama AZ, you can be heard now. Go ahead.
Ocio, which means hello in Cherokee. This Dr. V, you never cease to amaze me. You are just not from this planet. And my dear brother, let me say this. I wrote the time down. I'm in Arizona. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
When I was looking at your eyes, I could see Dr. Blair. I swear to God, I could see Dr. Blair around you. And I was saying in my mind, I got to ask him about Dr. Blair at 5:48, which is an 8.
In Arizona, right?
In Arizona.
Okay.
And I'm just so fascinated by you connecting with Dr. Blair because he too said to me, it's about accountability. And when he said that to me, it was in a vision at Miracle Valley, Arizona. He said, these ones have to be accountable for what they have done. And that's another podcast. But thank us for you confirming what was in my thinking. It wasn't a minute after you mentioned Dr. Blair, and I could see him around you. And let me one other thing. Did I hear you say those little girls? You had to find out who they were. What I heard you in the in between is like you're saying you don't know what those girls were in another lifetime. And is that what you
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, through our actions, right, we create thought forms regularly, right? So if you create a thought and the thought, it has a lifespan, right? So you create a thought that can live for a short time and it will die out right after some time. You have other thoughts that they get stronger and stronger. You can even abandon a thought, right? And the thought can still grow. It can go over there. I can create a thought, I can abandon it, and you can adopt it, right? And eventually it can go to another person and it spreads, but eventually, before I die, I have to deal with that thought, right? That's what the shadow work and all of that is basically addressing. So if a person creates a particular lifestyle, like they're crazy and they're doing all kind of crazy stuff, right? When they die and they don't dispel the thought form, the thought form will wait for them to reincarnate. And it would just be right there waiting for them. So that's a part of the contract. That's why we have poverty, like the way we do. Poverty is a contract. The poverty mindset is a contract, right? So you have people who will need money, but will reject every dollar you try to give them, right? Naturally. Yeah, let me pay you for that. Oh no, I don't need nothing. But they're broke and they're hungry, right? That's a part of their contract. So yes, absolutely. Being talking about the reincarnation that they had, knowing what they have done up to that point, to actually be here, because all I see them is two little girls, and I'm like, oh, I got you, but I'm looking with my human eyes. So when I look with my third eye, and I'm able to look with my pineal gland, and I can actually see beyond the time, beyond the corporal form. And I was able to actually see who they were and what they had done, the deeds that they had done. I was disgusted. I felt like a rookie at that point, you know.
Wow. Now, one other question, if you don't mind. Everybody who comes here, they come for with different assignments. You know, I don't believe in the motto, as I get older and more observant, what goes around comes around. Not everyone here who's come back to this planet is here to receive karmic payback. Do you understand what I'm?
I absolutely do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
What's your
you're
thought
saying
on
you
that?
believe that's true, Dr. Heru?
Do I believe that everybody does not deserve like a karmic payback? Absolutely, because some people have superseded karma, right? Just like some people have superseded the zodiac. Some people have superseded the pull of the magnitude of the moon, right? Some people have superseded ritual and the need for ritual, right? They don't have to set up a whole ritual to do something they can do. They can just sit and think and create that same magic without any tools, without any preparation, without all the noise in the world around them. They have superseded that. So yes, definitely, some people have absolutely superseded the karmic payback.
So if you have,
Okay,
if you're trying,
can I interject this right quick?
go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. V. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. Do you know, during my 14 days out there at the cemetery at Miracle Valley, with all of those dear ones that were laid to rest there, including Reverend A. Allen, this is what I heard from Reverend Allen and Shogi Effendi, who is Baha'i. He's on the other side. And Dr. Blair. Oh my God. Thank you, my brother.
Absolutely.
Please, Brother Bay, thank us. Wado means thank you. I'll be quiet and listen.
No, I appreciate it. I respect and I appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank us.
So you're the only way you're going to really know whether it's a karmic influence or they've superseded is maybe what, to do a reading of some kind.
Absolutely, divinations. You know, so that's why it's so important to have your own spirit guide. And even beyond the spirit guides, before I even get into like the spirit guide or any type of deity that we may be dealing with, it's best to have yourself activated, because before you go to a spirit guide, before you say any type of mantra or anything, it's good to have yourself activated to the point, because you have to talk to yourself, right? You have to talk to yourself. You have to counsel with self. You have to talk to yourself and find out what you really think, not the surface level, not the lower level, but the real heart. Because if you don't, anything you do is outside the heart space, is going to fail. It doesn't matter if you go to every spirit in the world. If you didn't do it from the heart space, it's going to fail, because that spirit cannot make the decision for you. You have to make the decision on your own. So yes, divination is the number one key. But before you can actually do a real divination, you have to have yourself on point and on intact, right? And once you're intact, I mean, you're going through the metaphysics of decision, right? And you're dealing with that internal and external stimuli. You're dealing with the difference between hunger and appetite, right? Because a lot of times that gets confusing with the hunger and appetite. So before you can do a divination, you have to be on point so that you can not only have a clear mind for yourself, but that you can also receive the correct messages. A lot of times, if you're doing like a mediumship work, it takes several sessions. So I've seen people, it looks like imposterism to me, because you have people saying, you know, your grandfather said the XYZ, but really from my experiences in doing mediumship work, when you do have an ancestor come through or someone outside of the corporal form, it takes several sessions for them to even get a full sentence out because they're speaking in grunts and tones and syllables. Sometimes to get the whole word out, it may take 3 or 4 sessions to get a word out because they're talking like that. They don't have the vocabulary in the so divination is key, but it takes before the divination, you have to have yourself intact, in alignment, and in tune purely, and it's easy to do. We work with these frequencies, we work with these specialized breathing, and the things like that.
Okay, so you talk about appetite. Um, are you talking physical appetite or spiritual, more
So
spiritual?
okay, so all hunger and appetite are going to be the same. So like hunger is what you need to survive, right?
Mhm,
Appetite is what you desire, is what you want.
mhm.
So it goes on a physical, on a spiritual, on a sexual level. We have appetites and we have hunger, right? So hunger, I need that to eat to live, right? Appetite is what I desire. So I think it's a gray line between dividing it up because a lot of people are dealing with health and they're saying, oh, you have to eat this or you need that or for protein or this and that, when really what they're saying you need for protein is what's giving you the parasites. Okay, wolves are like meat eaters, right? But they don't eat dead meat. There's only a few animals that eat dead meat. We're not going up to those chickens and biting their heads off and eating them. You know what I'm saying? So there's no animal in the animal kingdom except for like buzzards, right? Pigs that eat dead, they eat carcass. You know what I'm
And they
saying?
get parasites.
Exactly. Exactly. And they're the cause of that's the cause of parasites, right? So the body in essence becomes a cemetery. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a cemetery. So and when in the seek or the hunt to raise our vibrations up, then that's why we need the light code foods. You know what I'm saying? And Dr. Blair talked a lot about the diodes and use of diodes to raise the frequencies up of those foods. We dealing with hertz. The hertz are also going to raise those frequencies up, and they also help us to develop the clairs, right? So a lot of times we say divination to find out about this thing. We are the divination, right? We talk about altars. Guess what? We're living altars. You know what I'm saying? We talk about reading a book. Guess what? We are the living book. Anything that they can throw at us and say we're supposed to have, we are that. And it's all a symbolic representation of the true self, right? So once we activate the clairs, right? We activate the clairs, then you can simply think of something and get the true answer. And that is your reading. That is your divination, right? Once they're truly activated. So that's the difference between needing to go and which is perfectly fine if you go do a reading, whether that reading is through a tarot card, angel cards, bones, cowrie shells, whatever method a person decides to use is fine. Scrying, whatever, it's all good.
Okay, so we're really talking about people who are consciously evolved in their understanding of what can heal and what cannot. For instance, religion. We got to go back to religion. You must have encountered a lot of people who are just so stuck in their religion that what you're talking about is new age, woo 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 woo. Because even when I mentioned tarot cards, they're like, oh, they people freak
Yeah.
out. It's like, so
hmm
what is your response
Well,
when you
okay,
encounter that? Because it can be when you've moved on and evolved and you're growing and you're conscious and these things are like, oh, this is nice, and then you meet people who are like, it's new age, don't go near that. How do you respond to that type of thing?
well,
And
I mean,
go
I've
ahead.
I've I've been practicing for a while, right? For almost for 25 years professionally. But I've always been like this anyway, so it's never been a difference. At first, when I started doing it professionally, um, I people will walk by, you know, my center and make the little comments, devil worshiper, like that. And it used to piss me off. I ain't gonna lie. At first, I was about to choke out a couple of people in the very beginning, right? I started in the elder. I was working with an elder, and she looked at me one day when I reacted. The way she looked at me, like like kind of like disappointed, like disgusted, like surprised, like I can't believe you would react like that. And that look did something to me, right? And I was like, I was like, look, man, they're gonna watch their mouth. And she said, why? And I said, well, and she was like, but why? And I was like, well, I don't know why. Why does it matter? I started thinking like it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that this is not for everybody. And there are layers that we have to go through. Sometimes if that's the layer, that's the level that they're in, be safe over there. Okay, that's fine. You could be over there, but this is not for you. I respect that. It's not for me to disrespect what or not. I'm here to only give this information to those who it belongs to. And I'm not trying to tell anybody anything new. If it belongs to you, it may not be something that you've ever heard before, but you'll know it in your heart when you hear it. Right? And it's going to do something to your heart. And that you can tell who it belongs to because of the response that they have. Other people, they will come, they can spend all thousands of dollars, they can invest all their time, and it does not belong to them. That's why in my program, before I take on a student, I always do a divination. Because I've had people who came out, they were financially stable, they were gung-ho ready to come in, and I'm like, yeah, I got you, I got you. Then the night before the class, I'm like, let me just do this reading just in case. Let me just do the reading just for formality. And I got a hell no. And I was like, what? So I had to do the reading like 10 times. And I had to make I already took the money and everything. I had to turn the money back in. I had to give the phone call like, you know, like a cop has to go through when they tell somebody that your husband just died. And you got to go tell them, like, so I was like, you know, I can't give you this class. It's not your information. It doesn't belong to you. So it is what it is. There's nothing I can do. I'm doing you a disservice. If I give you this information, I put you more in a situation where you could hurt yourself and hurt the people around you than to help anything. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing that I can do for you is to help you to develop yourself through self-improvement, find the different ways to help what I can do. I'll try to do what I can do, but I can't give you this.
Wow. Okay. This is, we're going to get into that. Like when people come to see you, it sounds like it's like coming into a doctor's office and the doctor sits you down, and only in the sick care system, it's like, what's wrong with you? Okay, here's a prescription. But in your office, we got a whole different process. So I want to talk about that, but we have a few people chatting. I want to just recognize them. We have Rebby Soul. Hey Doc, I guess you
Rebby
would.
Soul.
Okay, and then that's Rebel Soul.
Is that Rebel Soul? That's Rebel. I know that's not Rebel. What's up?
Well, it's Rebel Soul. So
Okay, man, that's got to be the homie from way back then. I'm not sure, but anyway, even if it's not, what's good? How you doing?
okay, he's coming back. Okay, Higher Learning Networks. That's my sister Zelda in Chicago. Or she said, grand evening, beautiful people, enjoying the show from Indianapolis. So she's visiting. And then there's Rebel Soul says, wow. So he's enjoying the convert. I guess it's a he, or I don't know if that's a he or a she. Okay, so Rebel Soul said, this is amazing dialogue. So thankful. Thank us. Yeah, we are synchronistic beings here coming together because it was. And I want to give a shout out right now to Sister Tawita. She's always sending me some amazing souls to have these dialogues with. So we got to love on Sister.
Big shout out to her. Yeah, she's one of my favorite people, man. One
I'm
of my favorite
telling
people.
you, I've only known her. I've known her less than a year, and I just automatically clicked with her. And the synchronistic human family is part of my family too.
Yes.
And so we got Lady Mag. Is it Lady Mag?
Lady Magi. Yes, that's
Peace,
one of my.
Peace, Doc. She says, "Thank you for joining us." And then Lady Magi says, "Absolutely."
That's family right there.
Higher learning. Do you know how to fly with stress relief strategies? Okay, so Zelda is going to have a show tomorrow morning about stress relief. So join her at Higher Learning Network. So let's get back to the office visit with you, because you're the kind of doctor I'd want to see. But I imagine, like you said, if it's, I keep hearing stay in your lane. When I get a little frustrated about people who don't get it or who are want to debate, and instead of just having this dialogue like we're having, there's so many people that I meet and who have been in my life, and I just don't even talk to them anymore, that want to debate or talk about yoga is demonic, whatever. It's like, and I'm at a point, a transition point where, like you said, you have to just leave those people over there and move on. So you come to your office, and I want to know more about the readings you do, or the divination that helps you be in the right space to bring the purification of whatever you're going to do, so that there's no interference. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Because I really am really so in tune to that type of process.
Mm-hmm. Well, two things. Okay, so one thing I want to say is that when it comes to doing the readings in particular, there's always a preparatory state before the reading is there, right? So I had an interesting situation. I had a client come through. This young lady came through, and she was going to try to get a reading. She was dressed nicely, like she's trying to use her looks to get a free reading, was what it was, right? But she didn't tell me that until she was going to try to pop up at the last second, like, oh, I don't have no money or whatever. But when she sat down in the chair for the client, it's like she sat on a pin. She jumped up, right? Make a long story short, I was fully prepared energetically, and and the spirit that's in me, that is in my shrine, that is there, that the spirit that I'm using is going to tell me what I need to know. So I use hertz frequencies real heavily, depending on what the situation is. I use hertz because that has a universal relaxing type of vibration that can kind of help people be in an easy space. There's also something that I would encourage any reader to do. You take your glass of water and you charge your water, like a bowl of water, and you charge it up, right? Because the body is 85% water, and we're aquatic beings in the womb, right? And we're in an amniotic sac, and we have to learn how to breathe air, and we go through all of that whole process. We're aquatic beings, right? So you have this charged water, you charge with your hand, charge it through the rotations. You don't touch it, and you can feel that cool breeze, and you do that. You can also whisper to the water to do that. You hold it after you charge the water, and I'm gonna send you this document, right, with these couple of techniques on there. You set it up under your chair, up under the client's chair, and that will, because water is a conduit, it's gonna collect anything negative that's coming out in that reading,
Mm-hmm.
right? I love I prefer actually for a client to tell me nothing. I don't want to know the situation. I don't want to know what's going on. I don't want you to tell me anything. I just want them to sit down and let me do my thing and let me address. They can write their questions down and prepare their questions in advance, but I would prefer not to know anything, because it's easy to read the situation based off what you know, which is not a divination. That's just a person who's picking up on information based on body language, based on, some people have that facial expression the whole reading. They're like this. You don't know. You can't read that and tell whether they agree. They might be agreeing like word, but they don't look like it. They might be thinking anything. You don't know what they're thinking. So you have to really rely on the skill set to do what you do. But I like to use orgonite pieces. They're very strong to fight off those EMFs and to fight off any type of, for high clientele, high profile clientele who wants to meet in privacy, and they don't want to be, maybe they have like, I had a client, she was real concerned about TMZ. They were following her everywhere. She couldn't get anywhere. She kept saying they're going to listen in, and she didn't want her business out there. So I had to use the orgonite pieces, because orgonite.
Say TMZ.
Yeah, the news network.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And she was she's an actress, and she was real concerned with being eavesdropped on, right? So in that case, you use the organite pieces, right? Use those frequencies to do that, and it's really just a real easy space. My readings, I don't sugarcoat, but I'm very down to earth, so I feel like that's what people need. They need the truth, but they need it to feel like it's coming from somebody that they're cool with, even though they don't know me.
So the woman who was dressing to get a discount, I say, what happened with her?
Sister sat down in the chair, jumped up like she sat on a tack, and went into full blown convulsion seizures.
Ooh.
Right? Yo, I'm like, hey, so I'm like trying to shake her. I like, wake up. I'm doing all of this, and then none of it worked. And I was like, remember now, I'm fully prepared for this reading. Because every time I do a reading, I always plan ahead of time, like with my own energy, make sure that I'm receptive and all of that, right? So I'm feeling myself, but I couldn't do anything, right? And I was like, I'm like smacking her face, like, yo, cause I thought I was afraid she was gonna swallow her tongue. That's what I was thinking about. So I'm like trying to, and she was like, she wouldn't look at me or nothing, man. She was just like eyes rolled up in her head. And so I like looked around and happened to look up, and my shrine was right there. And my shrine, they were smiling, all of them. And I was like, yo, this is a spirit thing. And I was like, hey, I'm like, so I said, hey, what's up? And and they was like, go ahead, help her. And I was like, and they was like, no, go ahead, help her. And no, and they was like, oh, you can't help her, can't do nothing. And I was like, oh man, they trying to make me ask, right? They're humbling me. They're making me ask because I was feeling myself because of my readings are stupid. They like, I'm going to details. I can do some. I pulled 300 names in a reading, and I was doing an ancestral reading and pulled 300 names up to relate. So I was feeling myself, right? So I'm like, I'm feeling good, but I couldn't do anything. So I asked him. I said, "Can you please help her?" And then I didn't hear you. What you say? And I was like, "Can you please help her?" And I'm sorry. So I'm like, I had to actually beg and like break down out of my pride and ask for help. And they did. And within 5 seconds, she went back to normal, and she slept. I let her sleep. I brought her a blanket. I let her sleep on that floor for an hour. I woke up in an hour and charged her the money and walked her right out the house. But the reason I told that story is because the atmosphere had to be set up, right? It had to be set up. Like there's a specific place that the client sits in. There's my seat, right? You have everybody's home has positive and negative areas in the home, right? So you have areas that are positive and that are strong. You have that are dilapidating areas too. And one easy way to discover, let me show you. Well, you just take a pendulum and you walk up and down the room, back and forth. Go over this way, walk up and down, go over that way, and then do like the whole room like that, right? Till you cover the whole room. And whenever you hit an area in the room that's got a pocket of energy, the pendulum's going to start moving. And you'll be able to find the border because when you keep moving, it's going to stop at a certain point. So inside that space, you can go left and right and find out the border of where the area is. If you can't tell from the way the energy feels, you take a plant, you put a plant right there, right in the area, and that plant will either die or it will get bigger and stronger. And that's going to tell you if it's a positive area or a negative area. And if it's positive, then you set maybe an altar there, or maybe a chair or a couch that you can do your thinking or your writing in, right? And you set the space up. So my home is a shrine. I have multiple shrines in my home. My entire home is a shrine. Matter of fact, the people in my building don't know, but my building's a shrine. Okay, my whole block in Brooklyn is a shrine. Right, it's a shrine because your energy has to be built up and encapsulated and concentrated in a point to where it can be functioning at all times, no matter what. So that's what my space is like with my readings. I do energy readings also, so it's not all just yes or no questions. Reading the energies in the body, whether you're dealing with health issues or some sort of blockage energetically. Uh, we also have like the palmistry and the mole readings. So like you read like the moles on the body, like moles on the face mean certain things, moles on the hands, on the shoulders, anywhere on the body, each mole has a different significance to it.
Really, I'm starting to get moles on my body in some weird places. So you're saying, do you do distance reading?
I can do reading from anywhere.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're saying
Mhm.
moles have significance based on where they are in the body.
Based on where they are on the body. Also, if what type is it, a black mole? Is it a red mole? Is it a mole that comes out the body? Is it like a flat mole? Is it one that is in clusters? All of those mean something.
Okay, so mine are flat and they're brown.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and any on your face?
No, they're all like my at most they're showing up in my abdomen around like under my breast area. And I had something called black salve. You ever heard of black salve?
What's that?
Oh my goodness, it's a paste that's made out of bloodroot and I think red clover. And I used to use it on moles. Like my son had a wart on his knee, and I
Mm-hmm.
used that on there and took the wart right off. It what it does is you put it on and leave it on for overnight, and then you start putting peroxide, and it actually draws the toxin out or draws the parasite, whatever's in there causing it. It draws it right out.
Mm,
And they took that stuff off. FDA found out how much good that stuff was doing, and they took that off the market. So
mm.
I was in Belize. I bought black salve. It wasn't even the same thing. So
The ingredients, so you can remake it.
I might have the ingredients on paper somewhere, but I know bloodroot is one, and then maybe burdock,
Burdock. Okay.
bloodroot, burdock, and I don't remember what else, but it was some good, powerful stuff. Powerful.
Mm,
Black, it was
mm.
like dark skin. So yeah, I've
Dr.
been
Bill,
wondering about Mom AZ.
I have, oh my God, this is so awesome. I have a question. It's bugging the bejesus out of me to
Yeah, go
ask
ahead.
this, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Okay. Michael Jackson, when he was crossing over,
Okay.
and I was there in North Carolina getting some stones ready, me and some other tribal members, to go to South Carolina before I came back to Phoenix, Arizona. I heard Billie Jean, and I couldn't believe it. It was a country western station, and Billie Jean interrupted the country western station that I was listening to and came in. Well, the next day, he made his transition. Now, fast forwarding, I was told to find out the exact date that my mother came to the planet. I find that information out, but before I could get the information, this was yesterday, family. The curator at the cemetery where my mother is laid to rest, and I bought a plot in 1980 right next to her in the praying hand. But before he could tell me any of that, he said, "Oh my God." He said, "Do you know who's laying next to your mom and you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Michael Jackson's grandmother."
Mm,
This was yesterday, family. So I said all of that to say this. And she laid to rest in 12 years after my mom. Something what do you think of that? Brother, what's your opinion of that? I don't, it's freaking me out why she chose, and her middle name is the same as mine. I haven't figured out her last her what do you call it, life path numbers yet. But the point being is, when I transfer and I'm placed in that particular location, it's a triangle. Can you tell me what comes to your spirit? Because I haven't been able to sleep. I just found this out yesterday.
Well, from my understanding, the Jackson family was extremely metaphysical, or is extremely metaphysical. And if you look up, and I can't think of which pharaoh it is, but is it Michael? There's a pharaoh that Michael Jackson is a duplicate image, exact copy of. Okay, you can just look up.
You mean in real life?
There was an actual pharaoh that looked like what we know as Michael Jackson.
Whoa.
So look, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna find
you. Send you a picture of her, and I was told this, and who told me this again was Dr. Blair and Reverend Allen in a dream. And for those who do not know who Reverend Allen is, he was the creator, the founder of Miracle Valley, Arizona. And years later, the group in Chicago came here to Miracle Valley, Arizona. They ended up having a shootout, and the son of that ministry was blown up in a van. Here in Miracle Valley, Arizona. And I came here to bring truth. And Dr. Blair has been telling me all along just what you said, sir. You have to be accountable. These dear ones must be accountable. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. V. I don't know what to say about all of this.
You know what? And what I will do, Goddess, I will do some ciphering tonight. You know what I'm saying? I'll do some ciphering tonight on this situation and see if anything comes to me, though. Definitely.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Absolutely.
And I'd like for you, Dr. V, to be a part of this and record it, because they're telling me that something is getting ready to happen here in Arizona at Miracle Valley, because this is Buffalo Soldier country, and the 7th Cavalry, and those stones that Michael came in on that I was gathering, they're there in South Carolina, Hemingway, South Carolina, and those stones came from all the battlefields that the 7th Cavalry, the Buffalo Soldier, and all of them helped to massacre the people in the book Wounded Knee. In my heart is Wounded Knee. And they called me family and gave me the necessary means to travel all over to all of those sites, to the massacre sites, to gather the stones, which some of them are still here. Some of them are there at the Buffalo Soldier Camp. I don't think they know that. In Phoenix, here in Bisbee, and many other places. So thank you, my brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank us. So yeah, Mama Z has a lot of stories to tell about Arizona, and we just did a show last week about the Cherokee Nation and A.A. Allen and all that. So yeah, She's full of history and lots of information. So we also have let's see, Rebel Soul says she's it's Cinders, and I am a student of Dr. Heru.
Yeah, Cinder says that's my other people right there. Yeah, both of those ladies right there. And matter of fact, one of the goddesses there is in Arizona. And
Oh,
and Cinders, yeah, that's there's my peoples right there. They both are some really good peoples right there. Yeah,
okay. And she says proud student.
absolutely. That's what's
Okay.
up.
So we can get into some of your I want to know about your special breathing. What is it that we should know about your special breathing? How can it help us? How can it help us evolve? Tell us a little bit about what you do with that.
Okay, well, the specialized breathing, first of all, when you think breath, you think life, right? So if you think no breath, then what do you have?
Death
You
or
have death. You have no life, death, right? So you have death. So specialized breathing is a specialized life. So when we want to activate, first of all, we have most people are gonna hyperventilate. They're gonna breathe, which is breathing from the upper chest, which is low, shallow breathing, right? And from that low, shallow breathing, one of the direct effects of that is going to be hesitation. It's going to be uncertainty. It's going to be constantly changing your mind. It's going to be confusion. That's all are direct results of breathing shallow, hyperventilation. When you deepen the breath, you eliminate all of them and more, right? So specialized breathing is a way for us to help increase our bioelectricity in the body. It's a way for us to allow our will to become certain and exact, so that we're not hesitating or speaking in unabsolutes, right? Because we love to do that. We love to talk in maybes and ifs. When your breath is deep, you don't use ifs and maybes. You don't use could haves. Those are words that have to that delete, and they make accountability obsolete, right? When we say if, could, maybe, should, all those are opposite of specialized deep breathing. Those are hyperventilation breaths. Those words are dealing with hyperventilation. Um, and so like we want to increase the fresh oxygen in our body, whether we're trying to increase the heat, we're trying to strengthen our willpower, whether you're trying to just have a clear flow, because a lot of the illnesses that we have physically and mentally are coming from hyperventilation, right? So the flow of energy that should normally be able to flow through, and I'm talking about we just get a thought in our mind. The thought is supposed to be able to transition through the evolution of that thought, right? It should go from a seedling idea all the way, work its way through the stages to become action, right? But when you're hyperventilating, instead of actually taking that thought and allowing that thought to go from beginning to the end in its proper stages, what it does is it gets stuck somewhere, and it in the process, and then it can even create physical cancers. It can create mental cancers, right? And a mental cancer is basically like a tumor, a mental tumor, where you ever like how you like what you said, you're trying to explain to someone and they're like, no, I don't want to hear it. Like that's a mental cancer. That's what that is, a mental tumor, right? Because the truth is right there in your face. And because you don't have the ears to hear it, or the eyes to see it, or the heart to know it, it will be right there and it's gonna go right by you, right? Those are cancerous.
yeah, well, it's funny, not funny, but interesting. This person has started getting migraine headaches. So could that be a sign that there's
Absolutely.
that blockage of hearing?
Absolutely. The blockage, so it could be anything dealing with the cranial. So we know through dealing with the clairs that there are certain frequencies in the cranial or the head cavity gives us access to telepathy with, and also with all the throat chakra, with all the communication, right? The whole communication and everything. And also remember, the throat chakra is the seat of all of your emotions, not the heart chakra, but the throat chakra. If you think about when you're emotionally affected, your speech is affected, not your heart, your speech. So it's going you cry, you yell, you scream, you whisper, you mumble, right? Those are effects of your emotions, right? So It could be, and because the throat is considered to be a part of the cranial, the migraines could be something to do with the emotional state of this person, right? Emotional pain, sores, damage, right? And not actually processing through those emotions, and it's creating a blockage because the energy wants to escape out of the head, but it can't, so it's trapped. So you feel it in the head, boom, headed, migraine, you know?
Yeah, so I've been in class about this person because all these things are manifesting. I'm like, oh, there's something to that. And, resistance to truth, resistance to new things. So the breathing, can you take us through a little training on that, or is that
Absolutely.
something the class you have to do?
I have special stuff for the class, but I have definitely something that we can do together. Um, and I'll give you two examples. I'll walk you through one and just give you another example. If you don't have, like, say you're just in a situation and you don't have time to think about it, right? Because this is a natural. Most of us, like I said, are hyperventilating, right? So the first easy way to do it is deep, even, slow breaths. So the thing that you want to remember is to connect your nose to your belly button and your mouth to your belly button. So when you inhale in the nose, you're also pushing the belly out, right? And to the point to where it expands completely that lower diaphragm. You continue to inhale until, because your diaphragm is built in three. So you have lower diaphragm with your belly button will be at this point in between it, right? So you inhale like that, fill the lower diaphragm up, keep inhaling in the middle, and then you would do the third of the upper chest. So it'd be like boom, 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 right? And then when you exhale, you're gonna suck the belly button into the spine, in the middle, and then the upper chest goes in as well. So it'll look like that serpent type energy right there. And that energy, you're gonna inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth. We're gonna do a count of 5. Okay, you're gonna inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth. We're not gonna do any type of counts or anything right now. We're just gonna do a slow, deep, even breath, right? And we want to pay very close attention to the way that the breath is put together, right? The way that the breath is, the anatomy of the breath, right? So we have, it's in the nose, it's out the mouth. And in the nose, when you're inhaling through the nose and you're pushing your belly out, this is opposite of this is why it's called specialized, because you're taking specialized steps to deepen the breath. That's what we're trying to do. So when you're inhaling through the nose, you don't want to go like that too fast, because you got to inhale slowly because you want the air to fill up the lower abdomen, right? So you're pushing the belly out. You don't want to just push the belly out real fast. You want the same strength that you inhale at is the same strength that you're gonna puff the belly up, and then eventually the chest, right? And then same thing when you exhale, you're gonna slowly blow out the mouth while you slowly suck the belly button in, so you can empty that abdomen out, then the middle and upper lungs. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna do a total of 5 breaths.
My only question is, some people like to exhale. In fact, all the yoga classes I've taken, they usually teach inhale, exhale only through the nose. What's the difference? What's the difference in the effect of that?
Okay, there are special breaths that do inhale through the mouth. Okay. But the nose is considered to be the best option because the nose hairs heat, they filter the air, right? And then the nose warms the air up. So
But
it
what
makes
about exhaling through the nose too?
exhaling in, inhaling in, exhaling out the nose is
Yeah,
what they say they do.
yeah.
I don't know why they would do that. I
That's
mean,
the
you know what? You know what? I think honestly, my opinion is that a lot of what goes around is called trick knowledge, right? Because they like, for instance, and I'll give you a real quick example to not get off point, but like OM, right? Om is really Aum,
oh, I
right?
see. Mm-hmm.
AUM, right? So the vibration will go Om, or it would go See how it's a very subtle difference?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But One is like them taking the energy to make it more common, and one is what is actually done in the cut. Is Aum, right? So that's the actual resonant tone is Aum, but the trick knowledge will tell you Om. Okay, so they have a lot of trick knowledge. So, like to me, that sounds like trick knowledge. How they say in the nose, out the nose, right? First of all, you want to in the nose because you want to heat the air up, you want to filter it out, but you want it out the mouth because you want the force. You want to be able to put the force into the expulsion because what happens in hyperventilation, remember through hesitation and all of that, what we're doing is we're taking that inhale, and before we've actually got down deep we're already blowing air out. We're already on the next step. We ain't even filled up the lower part, right? So if I'm inhaling through the nose and then I get it all up there and then I slowly exhale, I'm not letting it all out. I'm still kind of because my nose can't do like that. Like there's a difference when I blow out my mouth. I have a strong pipe, right? When I blow out my nose, it's just different. That's for pulling in, not for putting out. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the difference. And not to say that there probably are not probably not to say that there are not effective ways of doing it that way. And I'm sure like somebody who does it that way can educate me on that process. But for me, the reason why I do have breaths that come in the mouth and out the nose, right? But it would never be in the mouth, out the mouth, or in the nose, out the mouth. It's gonna include everything because first of all, we're dealing with a man, we're dealing with the testicles, and with the woman, we're dealing with the ovaries in every breath. Okay, so in Kemet, you have here on the pharaoh's head, right? You have a serpent and a falcon. I mean a vulture, right? You have a vulture and the serpent, right? These are the two energy pathways that rise up the spine. Left side, right side, either male or female. And the woman is starting in the ovaries and the man is starting in the testicles. Winds up the spine, and when it gets all the way up the spine, it stops at the nostrils because this is dealing with oxygen and bioelectricity. So if I'm going in the nose, out the mouth, I've bypassed part of my breathing. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it makes sense to complete the whole system and use the nose and the mouth.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. It does. Because I never thought when you said it's the ovaries is part of our breath. The woman's breathing is consciously is different from the man's. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that no, I'm saying that the woman's breath originates from her ovaries, where the man, the source of the breath originates in the testicles. So you're dealing with left and right, right?
Okay.
So energetically, that's what that cobra and that
Okay.
vulture are showing. They're showing the two. It's called Inga and Pingala in the Kemetic science, Inga and Pingala, which is positive and negative current of energy, right? So the serpent being the positive and the negative current being the vulture, right? Which is left and right side of the sex organ, right? So that's what that is. So like we're gonna decide do different ones. I didn't realize I could see the comments. Somebody asked what's a clair? A
Yeah.
clair. A
Yeah.
clair is a French word for clear.
Okay.
So we have clairvoyance, which is voyance is sight. So we have clear sight, or the ability to detect psychic information through a clear sense of sight. Right. So the clairs are your psychic sensory perceptions that we have access to, which we also can access through specialized breathing. Now, one thing I want to say, this is something that bothers me in watching reels on social media and things like that. This is one of the reasons I don't really do social media. You know what I'm saying? I like the one-on-one type of things. I will do like this because I'm talking to somebody and I'm actually dealing with an individual and we're talking to people like that. And I can actually do it. I like that. This is okay. But I don't really do a lot of that anymore. Anyway, the clairs are the detection of psychic information through these clear senses, smell, sense of taste, sight, smell, hearing, and touch, right? So we have We have clairvoyance, which is the clear sense of sight. We have clairaudience, clear sense of hearing. We have clairgustance, the sense of taste, right? Clairaudience is the sense of hearing. Uh, and we have clairsentience, right? The sense of knowing, right? So developing these clairs is what helps. Really doing the breaths help to develop the clairs. When you do these breaths, your clairs start to develop. Matter of fact, there's two people in here right now that can attest to this, and I don't want to put nobody on the spot, but matter of fact, if one of you ladies want to call in and give your representation of what the breath is, not ready right now. I know we're going to do this breath or whatever, but at any point, if the line is still open, I would like you to give like a quick little witness to what it is that has happened for you individually. Okay, so hopefully I answered your question properly with the breathing and how to do the process in and out. With this one, I chose this breath specifically because this is going to help tap everybody in to one frequency. This helps to calm you down whenever you feel like you just need focus and you just kind of like thoughts are going all over the place and you just need the clarity and just the stillness. This breath right here is a very perfect one to do.
Well, it's funny that you use the word clarity because I was with a group of people, the Black Light. We do a show every Tuesday, and we did a 40-day, 3-hour meditation. So I was every day, I didn't do 33 hours, but 40 days I was just focused to get in with this group at 7 and hang in there till 10. Sometimes I got in 8. When I got through the first 2 weeks, I had so much clarity about things that I was concerned about and decisions that I had to make. That clarity, I that's what I was telling my audience. Clarity, it was like I didn't hesitate. I was like, yep, got to do this. It wasn't like you said earlier. It wasn't, well, maybe. Oh, I don't know. It was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. So,
And I think that makes a big deal. That makes a
yeah,
big difference. You know,
yeah,
when you have that state of clarity,
yeah,
and you can tell that like this breath in particular will help to achieve that state. It also helps you to avoid hesitancy, right?
yeah, yes,
Is a killer, right?
yeah.
Also the changing of the mind, right? Constantly changing the mind. This is the reason why. Now let me tell you something. As melanated people, especially growing up in the inner cities, dealing with like Caucasian women who are the teachers, right? And so they like what I noticed from my own experiences, and I know if the people agree with this, they'll say something, but I know like where they would antagonize us, right? And then they'd be like, you calm because you at school, so you know how to you on your P's and Q's, but it's like you start to get under your skin, and then as soon as they keep pushing, then you get mad, and they say, look at you. You're mad, right? Right. And so like they pushing those buttons, and that's the thing. So like it's about the response. Are you reacting? Right? Because we have gotten to a point to where we are doing a lot of reacting. And we're not here to react. We are trendsetters. We don't react to the trend. We set the trend.
This is so important right now in this country when our government is going through a lot of chaos, division, craziness, wars. That's exactly my thought is stop reacting and respond. We are so powerful. Like you said, melanin people don't realize how powerful we are and how much influence we have today that Caucasians are looking to us to respond, not react. In fact, there's going to be a big protest, I think April 5th in Washington. They're talking about 1 million people getting ready to march into Washington and protest. And this one Black woman said, we're not doing that. I said, you're right. If anything, I would protest the war. I'm so disgusted at the bombing of Yemen and Palestine at this point. And this president said he's flip-flopped because he said he wasn't going to bomb Yemen. Oh, we can have diplomacy talking about, and now we done flip-flopped and we bombing. I'm like, what the? And then, but like you said, talk about that for a minute. Reacting versus responding. I'm catching myself more and more to respond and watch my emotional intelligence and not get upset about things. Okay, what are we going to do in this situation? Well, fly. My first thing is fly. First, love yourself. And I can't stay angry in fly mode. So that's a great the breath. Okay, I'm sorry, I digressed a little. But getting back to the breath that helps us respond and have clarity, right?
Absolutely. The clarity, the consistency of thought, right? The fact that our thoughts are often aborted before they're fully born, right? We're killing our thoughts before they even get the chance to actually become action. We're speaking them. Before we're doing them, we're talking, which is another problem, right? We're putting them out in the world as actions when they have not actually had the experience of being in action, right? And that's another problem, right? Another problem is that when we have an idea or a concept or something that we want to perform, and we've thought it through in our mind, before we tell any other person, we need to record it, write it down. If we write it down, it already exists on this plane. That's how we give birth to the concepts, not by vocalizing them, but by recording them and giving it a body. And then from there, you go into details on further planning, right? And then you act. And then as you act, you still don't say anything, you just do, right? Because the more you do, the more it's gonna talk for you, right? The more you talk and don't do, the more other people are gonna start talking, and then the less you're gonna actually do. Because they're gonna make sure of it. They're gonna be like, man, he ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna do that. And then that thought form gets created, right? That thought form gets created. Oh, he ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna do that. And then guess what? You don't do it because the thought forms they get created. They get created, and then like, oh, I can't stand this person. They so dumb. Oh, you say, yeah, I hate them. They're stupid. Oh yeah, they always get on my nerves. They always say that, and then you come back, and then we do that. We create a thought form that way. And at the end of our conversation, guess what? Where does that thought form go? It has to go. The only one place it can go to the only person it knows, which is the one it hates, and it's gonna go straight there. That's why a lot of times, if you're unprotected, you'll find yourself feeling drained, tired, exhausted, and you don't know why. It's because somebody talking about you and they threw that thought form on you. And because your aura is unprotected, you don't have, not necessarily, I'm saying in general, right? You're being unprotected. The energy coming and just attached right to your aura and leaves you unprotected, right? And so talking is needs to go on the back burner. Action needs to go up front, but before we act, we should be still and be breathing so that we can have clarity of thought, a precise amount of thinking. Oh, my phone's gonna die. I gotta get to the church. I don't know, man.
No,
I
okay.
didn't
So
know
we
my phone was getting ready to die.
okay. So you saying we about to close now? Okay. Okay, Zelda. Okay, let me just read some Lady Magi. Magi 8 said this is so true. And then Zelda says, awesome teaching. Thank us. Divine design from the best. It ain't written. It don't exist. Ashe. It made me think about Ye. Kanye West has a song. Should have wrote it down in pen. Boy, I love that verse that he has about that, and that's exactly what he's talking about. You have an idea, and you think about it, and then you forget about it. But the verse says you should have written it down in pen. So I love that. Okay, he's dropped out. So I think it's, oh my goodness, 10:05. We have had a long conversation, and I am so grateful for all of you who are participating tonight. This has been awesome, and I think he has to go. He said something about he had to get to the church. I hope he didn't miss it. But thank all of you for joining us tonight. I think he said his phone died. So we're gonna say goodnight, and I'll just talk to him and give him thanks from all of us for bringing this higher knowledge. And I know some of it is way above religious thought, but I'm the type of person who wants to keep learning more and more and more in this life. As I'm going into my 70s now, and I'm so excited to learn more things than I learned 10 years ago or the last 10 years. The next 10 years are going to be like so exciting for me because I'm so ready to learn new things and I'm not holding back because I've watched friends who are suffering because they don't want to learn anything new. They think they know it all. And the ego gets in the way. I learned this was what I've observed with my friend. The ego and intelligence gets in the way of spirituality and humility, that we don't know everything. And that's why I even have to step back, and when I'm having a conversation with someone and they disagree with me, and I'm thinking, well, maybe this is not the time, or maybe I need to learn some more, and then I'll go and do some research, because I usually doubt when someone says, "Oh, that's not right. That's new age, whatever." And I go do more research, and guess what? The same confirmation keeps coming. I got a wasp that keeps coming into my house, and I looked up he comes in and he comes and goes because I leave my door open and I got screens on the door. And I looked up the meaning of the wasp, and I think he's back, so we'll bring him back. Uh, did you have to go, Dr. Haru? I heard you say you have to go to the church.
Oh no, I definitely did not say that. No,
What did he say? I'm like,
no, I was trying to say charger. I think you probably just got the chub part.
oh, okay, okay. So
Yeah,
I didn't know if you wanted to finish the breathing teaching, or were we
yeah,
done?
I'm game. I'm ready to keep going. I just the phone. I got it on the charger now. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm game too. Oh, somebody wants to know how to find Mama. Is Lady Magi in Arizona? Is she the one in Arizona?
Yeah, Magi's in Arizona.
Okay, I'll put her number here. I'm sure she won't mind, and you
Well,
can
hold
call.
on. No. Don't put a number on the internet. I'll give it to me and then I'll give it to her.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
she.
don't put her number on the thing.
All
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Because I don't have to go mess nobody up trying to play with her. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're connected to Lady Magi 8.
Yes.
All right, then I'll send you Mama AZ's number. Okay.
Okay, I want it too. I like her.
Yeah. Okay. She's probably watching on YouTube, but she hung up because I thought you were gonna have one of your students call in. So I think Mama AZ hung up so they could call in if they still want to call in. But let's just go over the breathing, if you don't mind.
Okay, all right. So that's what it's gonna do. So the breath actually allows you it allows you to deepen your decisions, to deepen your awareness, to lock that into actually actual factual, right? Because like when hyperventilating, we make multiple decisions, we change our mind, we don't really know what we're choosing, we kind of go with the flow, and we're dealing more so with external stimuli through hyperventilation. So the deep breathing, the specialized breathing, is going to help you to tap into that internal stimuli, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for internal stimuli to be able to stimulate ourselves, and without having to go into all this, you know, visionary things like that. Things, listening and hearing and watching and all of that. Because like we have these invokers, right? The Godhead, the head of God, which has 7 holes on it, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right? This the Godhead with 7 holes on it. Each of these are invokers, considered invokers, because they're all pulling information in. So that's gonna force us to have external stimuli constantly popping off. The breathing helps to even that out through the internal stimuli, where you're able to control what your desires are, the control of the desires of what you're looking at, what you're listening to, right? Of these invokers that are pulling information in. They're constantly pulling information in, and um, as they pull the information in, um, they may be pulling in things that are bad for you or negative for you, right? So the deep breathing helps to do that. So what we're gonna do a total of 5 breaths in the nose, out the mouth, and I want you to consciously connect the nostrils with the lower abdomen, so really like with your navel, right? You're gonna slowly inhale by pushing the belly out, and then Exhale by pulling the belly button in towards the spine, connecting mentally the mouth to the belly button so that you're not blowing too hard out the mouth and not pulling the belly in too fast. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is keeping an eye on the connection of it being uh, even. You know what I'm saying? Um, I said Ingala, Ida in Pingala, IDA in Pingala, Pingala. Ida in Pingala. I was answering the question
Yeah,
along that.
yeah, I hear you. I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you gonna just take us through, or you're just telling us what we need to do?
We can do it together. I mean, I'm gonna do them with you guys. I like to do maybe 5 breaths just to kind of show you what it is. I'll give you a couple. Maybe if you want, we can kind of cycle through a couple different ones or
Okay.
whatever, so you can see the difference between them. So we'll just do 5 breaths. That way, you kind of pay attention to right how you feel right this second, and then pay attention after doing 5 of them. And remember, these are done with other exercises, so they're done in a series along with these power meditations where you're dealing directly going into your energy field and dealing with that, dealing with the energy field itself, with the aura, dealing with the chakras individually and again as a whole. Okay, so 5 deep breaths. This is gonna be the low rising breath. It's called low rising because the energy is raising up from the low diagram into the middle and upper lungs, or middle and upper chest. All right. All right. So we're going to do 5 of these breaths. And you just want to make sure you're comfortable. Let me sit differently. You want to make sure that you're comfortable and that you are uh, sitting in a comfortable position where you're not going to be being distracted. Okay. And, okay. All right. Ready? I'm just going to count to 5. 1. 2. Inhale. 3. Inhale. 4. 5. Now, with that, you should feel something. Do you feel anything? How do you feel after that?
Oh yeah. Just I had a little discomfort in my stomach area, and that just moved out. So for me, it's always moving energy when I do breathing like that. Yeah,
It's
energy.
actually moving energy. It'll move some air out your belly.
Yeah,
It'll move. It'll move. It'll.
yeah. I'll tell you a little story. A friend of mine and I were driving in a van, and he starts saying, "I have a heart. I think I'm having a heart. We got to go to the emergency room." I'm like, "I don't even know where emergency room. We're in the middle of Florida." And he's like, "We need to find a house." So I'm trying. I said, "Start breathing, breathe." I'm like driving and saying, "Breathe, breathe, breathe." After 5 minutes, he's like, "Oh, I think it's because I didn't have anything to eat. I had indigestion basically." But he thought he had. I realized you can get so much pressure in your chest sometimes. It feels like you're having a heart attack, but
Mhm.
breathing can just move that energy out of the pressure, right? So it's amazing what deeper breathing can consciously doing that type of breathing.
I mean, listen. It can do so much. It can. It can move the energy as what you just said. it can release, right, things that you've been holding on to for years, right? Thoughts, right? That's why when you think about like the sacred medicines, like ayahuasca, for instance, right? Right? The throwing up process, right? You're literally releasing toxic thoughts, toxic memories, right? Toxic ideas. You're throwing up mental things that you've held to the garbage, the waste disposal that you've held on to, and it's been hiding off. A lot of times it's you're held because of the circumstances, the people that you're around, or because of the convenience of a desire, right? Because you want something. You may not like this thing, but you like this thing that it brings, right? You don't really like it, but you like what it brings, right? So you hold on to the thought in the back, in the cut, in the corner, right? And that's what those sacred medicines help you to release that. So that deep breathing also helps you to release those toxic ideas and conversations. I mean, thoughts and words and all like that. It also helps to increase the bioelectricity in the body. It helps to increase. Certain ones can make you cool if you're hot. Certain ones can help heat you up if you're cold. They can help you. The deep breathing can help you make decisions sound and safely and quickly without being hesitant. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why like a kid, right? If you've been around kids when they get mad and you like and you know this is like your little partner. You like this little kid right here. They're not bad. They like always on point and they mad. They like hyperventilating. And what do you tell them? Naturally, you tell them to breathe deep, take a deep breath, right? Because that deep breathing is hardwired. We know that too. Take the breath, it calms everything down, it moves the energy through you. So that's why when somebody's in that situation, you naturally tell them, slow down, take a deep
Yeah,
breath,
yeah.
calm yourself down. So that's one of those principles that we are aware of, but that we don't really know that we're aware of.
Yeah, my son is doing a good job with his children of getting them to breathe when they're upset. Because he's gotten into meditation because when you go through a divorce, you got to go through therapy. You learn how to do a whole lot of things like breathing and meditating. So
Oh
nobody,
wow.
nobody can't tell me divorce is sometimes a good thing. I had, when I went through a divorce, this pastor was like, well, God hates divorce. And I'm like, no, God hates stress in your life. You need to get rid of the stress. I'm like, don't talk to me about that red scripture. That's not
Yeah,
the divorce that, what the divorce that creator hates is this divorce. And
that's
we
right.
divorce ourselves from breathing when we on this level with religion telling us to do this and that. But I learned through my divorce that no, the creator loves divorce sometimes.
I mean, you know what? A lot of times a lot of time the divorces are ending what should never have started. You know what I'm saying? So it's really not a divorce in that case. It's really like 'cause that marriage, like you see some people get married and one spouse will do the other one so dirty, right? Did them so dirty. You're like, why would you do this person like that? This is a good girl. That's a good guy, right? It's because that was never supposed to happen in the first place, and the divorce was probably the best thing in the marriage.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen.
it's a correction that
Yeah,
you
course
made
correction.
you made a choice, and it created more friction, more anger, more reaction. So you're not ready for this class called marriage. So you got to go to divorce 101. That's what I say. I was married for like almost 40 years, but that divorce was so peaceful because after 40 years of trying to get to know
You
who
got
I was,
married when you was like 5?
no, I got married at 23. So the going through learning what marriage was really all about, learning about who you are and learning to respond. The lessons were huge for me. So I graduated from that marriage 101 because we ended that relationship on a very peaceful terms and energy. But people who ended angry and bitter, it's like you're gonna have to go through another class. I don't want to go through that class again.
Mm,
So
no.
Learn the
No, no, no.
lessons. I'm moving on. Next one is going to be really easy. I'm in no hurry for the next one. But somebody was saying here, I wanted to show this comment. Um, this is Rebel Soul. She says, I have reacted, I have responded. Now I find myself observing.
That's right.
Yes, yes, sister. Yes, yes, sister. That's so cool because when you have people you're in conflict with, instead of arguing with them all the time, I'm learning to just observe because I know who I am. I know why I'm here, but that other person may not be there. And I'm going to observe this behavior and learn what I need to learn in this class and keep moving. It's like, nope, stress. Stress is the number one killer. So the breath is a de-stressor, right? How often do you go live? Can't wait to the next one. Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. I am live on Friday mornings, every Friday morning, health and well-being with Viata, right here on this YouTube channel at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. And then I'm always here Sunday night. And then Tuesday, I've started a live show with a brother, Chief Amun. He's a beautiful young brother who is teaching about the black light. I forget the name of his website, but just we have a great time on Tuesday. Now we're Tuesday, so it's Friday morning, Sunday night, and Tuesday afternoon at 5. Just if subscribe, be sure and like and subscribe to this channel, and you'll get a notice every time I go live. So
I'm inspired too. I'm gonna just say that. I know the brother. I know the brother from around the way, but Chief Zakur, grandmother Tahida's husband, before he transitioned, you know what I'm saying, he had a lot of the brothers, he had a lot of us around him. Chief Amun was a sharp brother, sharp dude. Really sharp dude. Yeah, I know, I got to see that live. I know that live is nice.
okay, Living a Life says take some deep breaths before getting married. Honey, listen, I think you need to meditate for a few days or maybe months before getting married. Not just a few breaths, but a few months, days. Because you about to have I think marriage is all about knowing why are you triggered. Why are you triggered? You're gonna get triggered in the marriage. So let's make sure you get triggered before the marriage so you realize why you get it. This gonna be a huge. The creator allows people to get married so they can learn how to respond to the triggers. Okay, so Rebel Soul is laughing. Great, thank you. I'm glad we got laughter here tonight because this is no more excuses for bad decisions. All right, so Doctor, sum it up for accountability. What do you think is the lesson we need to take away tonight to help us have the pure accountability?
Okay, well, pure accountability comes from the balance of internal and external stimuli.
Your voice, somehow your voice is a little muffled. I don't know what happened. Oh, did you have your speakers on your earphones?
I put the Bluetooth on, but I took it back off. Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yes. So the accountability comes from having a balance of the internal and external stimuli, right? If you have an overwhelming portion of either or, right, there's going to be some mistakes made. And then once you make those mistakes, that's where the challenge for accountability comes in at, right? People don't like to be, I don't think that it's the problem so much all the time of being accountable as it is the fact that people don't want to deal with the backlash that comes from other people for whatever mistake that they seem to have made. It's not so much the mistake because people don't really mind, oh, I messed up, I'm sorry. But if they have pre-calculated the response, so we talked about responses, right? If they pre-calculated the response to be something that's going to give them an extra problem on the fact that on top of that they messed up, then they'll lie or they'll disassociate themselves from the mistake altogether, right? And so like a lot of the reactions and the way we respond to people who are trying to be accountable, because sometimes somebody can be accountable and we'll tear their head off, right? We'll tear their head off as soon as they say, oh, I did this or I did that, and it's like, yo, boom, and you never let them live it down, right? So a lot of the accountability comes from the people that we rock with, not just us. Because you can want to be accountable, but if the people that you're around to be accountable, right? Two, if they don't know how to receive accountability, it can make it really challenging for the person to really fully be accountable. So it's very important that you are in an environment that you can be honest and receive whatever type of, um, whatever's just, whatever's fair, whatever actually is, right? Um, Also, despite the reaction or the response that you get from someone, you have to have the type of heart that's willing to stand by what you did. Because if you did, said, or thought, or did, or something, you did that, and that's a part of being a self initiate. That's part of being a self supremacist and a mortalist. That's part of being a god. That's part of being a galactic being. Is the fact that you do what you say and you say what you do, and regardless of anybody else's reaction, right? But it does get really hard when you have people around you, especially if they're people that you care about, people that are in a position of some sort of power play in your life, that you become responsible and they're ready to beat you up for it, right? They never let you live. And we love to not let people live it down, right? I've seen people not live something down for over 20 years, the same miniature thing, and they've never lived it down, right? And have I been the culprit of not letting people live it down? We don't want to talk about that. I have possibly, maybe, perhaps been one of the people who have not let people live it down. Maybe, perhaps, possibly. See, I'm not being accountable right now. The fact is that in accountability, yes, I've done it. I've been on both sides of the picture. I've been able to not live it down, and I've not let people live it down. So I think that a part of the accountability comes in with you know, with how we receive mistakes and how we make mistakes, because it's not really the mistake that you made. It's really about how did you affect the person. Like if you make a mistake, and it could be a small mistake, and the person is just overly damaged. How do you feel about that? Are you upset? Because some people get mad because you're mad because they get made a mistake. They're mad because you mad, right? Right. So you can't be mad if you violate it. You can't get mad at how the person reacts, right? And then on the other hand, you have people who were violated and will act like it's the worst thing in the world, even though it was the tiniest thing in the world. So we need to stop being soft all the way around, both on both ends of the candle, right? And we need to like actually deal with each other as if we have, um, like a compassionate heart, a kind heart that actually loves the result, the end result, and also that we're not taking no BS, because that's another thing. People will count on the fact that you're compassionate. They'll count on the fact that you're going to forgive them, and they'll drag you. You know what I'm saying? So the accountability comes from also, if you're doing things to improve yourself and the people around you are fighting against the improvement, if you can't push past that, and if you notice that there's all of a sudden a difference between you and them, right? I'm talking about a blatant difference where it's like you got to separate yourself from people. You got to get away from those people. You can't take that type of L. You can't take that type of L for the sake of a marriage, of a sibling, connection, of a parent child. No relationship is supposed to make you be unaccountable for anything that you do, because really, like I said, the love that we have for each other has limits, right? You love your children, you love your spouse, you love you love your parents, but you'll never go pee for them. You never go run to that toilet for them and be like, "Oh, I got you. Don't even worry about it. I got you. You busy right now. Finish writing that paper. I'm gonna go pee for you right quick." Right? Your love can only do what it can do. It can't do certain things, and so like the accountability is looking into things at that level, and really not taking it to the heart when somebody overreacts according to you off of a violation that you made. Because you know what? It's a process, not an event. This thing is a process, and it takes time. It has stages. It has levels. To be accountable, it takes levels. It's in accountability is in stages, right? And it's easy to deny being accountable in one level and then claim it on another level, which ultimately destroys all accountability. So, in order to be truly accountable, you have to be accountable at all levels.
I think we have, is it Rebel Soul Water on the line? You're
Yes.
okay. Go ahead, sister.
Hi,
Hi.
Dr. Heru. I've been
What's
working with.
up, Sin?
Hey, for the last 6 months, and everything about me has upgraded exponentially. My foggy brain, I have a lot of pain issues because I had very minimal disc growth. And I can feel my pain dissipating because my mind has expanded. I now live beyond any construct that I can create in my mind, and that includes pain. He works with you one-on-one, and I really appreciate him because, like, I'm an Aquarius and I be asking questions. And he always has an answer. He meets me where I am. And that's been a thing for me because I've never felt like my questions were being answered.
Oh, wow.
Or they were on a very surface level.
Oh.
So everything in my household has changed. The dynamics, my relationships with my husband have become more deeper and more profound. My son, and I'm the one doing the work, but all of us are being touched by it.
Mm.
I look forward to meeting him in May, so that I want to breathe with him,
You're going to travel to Brooklyn?
Yes,
Yes,
I'm going to
yes.
travel where he is. I'm in California, and Lady Magi is in Arizona, and we're all going to Mecca and to him.
I like that, Mecca.
Yeah. So I just want to publicly edify his work and him because of how it has changed my thought process, because there was a point where I just was giving up hope. And I was always worried about my future and my body and my pain, I didn't know what it would be looking like. And I know what it's going to look like, because I am determining what it's going to now.
Yes. I have a question for you, though. You said you have never been listened to. No one was listening to you. Was that something rooted in your childhood? Have you gone back that far?
You know what? It's interesting that you asked that question. I think, yes. But my point was that I ask questions that are deep, than the material being taught. So the way I think, I'm trying to experiencing it within myself, less about it being about the textbooks.
Right.
So then when it seems to detour from the textbook, I find that may be all that the teacher knows is the textbook. It hasn't been practiced in their life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you say that, because no, I haven't been heard in my life. Okay. And that has affected me since I've been a child, right, where I stop talking, or I just, when I do decide to talk, it's like blah all over the place.
And that's okay. And that's okay, because I'm learning, you like a person who likes to talk, you're going to trigger some people some of the time, but that's okay. It's not you, it's them. When you
Yes.
trigger other people by being your authentic self, being accountable, and somebody gets offended or whatever, it's not on you, it's them. Because if you're truly living your life from a place of love and compassion, wisdom, and then yet somebody that, well, I don't know why you said that. Well, maybe you better go sit under a tree and think about it. Is how I look. But I used to get so offended. I mean, I used to feel so bad. And so, well, I don't like the way you said that. Oh, I'm sorry. And the Most High
Yes,
said,
that was
and the
me.
Most High said, stop that, stop that. You see,
Yes,
when you have a
that's
relationship,
yeah.
when you have a relationship with the universe, with the nature, with the trees and everybody, and you're really saying things from a pure heart, and somebody doesn't like it, it's like, okay, you go. I suggest you go meditate on that. It's not me, really. It's like you got to have some confidence after you get your courage back and your voice back, right?
Well, it's like with working with Dr. Heru, I can no longer turn from my confidence. I can't hide it anymore.
Right.
That's great. And I'm proud of myself for,
That's beautiful.
Really proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful. And I wanted to ask you, when are you going to do this again? I love it.
Well, I think we're going to have to do a part 2. Otherwise, we're going to be here for 3 or 4 hours. I knew when I read his bio. I knew when I read his bio, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a long show.
You said it too.
Talk. He's like a brother to me now. We can just have conversation all night, but yeah, we should probably say goodnight. Well, no, as I said, I'm on every Friday morning, Sunday night. If you like and subscribe my channel, you'll get a notice when I'm live. Okay.
Yes, I have done that. And I just thank you. Thank you for anyone. Please reach out to Dr. Heru. You'll feel like you're the only student. It could be a room full of 10, but you will feel like you are, like he's giving you special attention. And he's like that with everyone,
Yes,
so I just want to say thank you. And
all right. So
see you in class soon, Dr. Heru.
So how
I appreciate it.
How can people get a hold of you, Dr. Heru?
I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right, peace. Okay, so I have my phone number is 347 554 7249. 347
Go ahead.
347 554 7249.
Okay. Then that's how you want people to contact you.
And I have an email address that's good as well. It's Alchemy Temple Priest at gmail.com.
Okay, I think I got that. Gmail.com. Okay, Alchemy, that's ALCHEMY, Temple, TEMPLE, priest at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, listen, I'll be in touch because we're going to have to do this again because we could be here all night. And so I still have lots of questions. I wanted to find out about these moles on my body, so maybe I better call you tomorrow or something.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We can do that.
Yeah, because they just keep popping up, and I have such a pure diet. My son and grandchildren just, why can't you eat sugar? Because sugar is poison to me. So things like that. So my diet is so pure, and yet these moles are popping up. So I'm like, there's something deeper.
Have you ever paid attention to like the print on your hand, like your handprint?
No.
So you want to take a picture of your hand and then take a like maybe 6 weeks later, and then like in gaps, take a picture and see if it's changing also. So you'll notice that the handprint changes with the moles coming up.
Really?
So they're connected. So
okay.
So as you have major events, the major event might be hitting specific ages. So you have one at 29. You have another one at 58.
Well,
Those are
I just turned 70.
you turn 70. Okay.
Yeah.
So so that would be it's a 7 year. That's a restation. Okay. Wow. So your handprint will probably be changing. You should really pay attention to that. See if you have moles come up on the hand, on the fingers. Um and
No, not yet. They're
okay.
concentrated in here and in my abdomen.
Okay. Okay. So
And I've been doing I do intermittent fasting and I do so much. And I'm like, ugh, what does this mean? So,
well, the moles are not necessarily coming up are not necessarily bad situations. They can be positive. They can be like auspicious situations too. So it can work. They can show you things that are working in your favor.
oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because I'm seeing them. I'm telling them I have a wasp that comes in my house and I don't kill those type of creatures. Bees are my friends. This wasp comes in and leaves, comes in and leaves. And I had to direct him out. And I looked that up and it said protection. Wasps are about protection. So I said,
Hmm.
well, that's good. I love that. Because when I see these lines in the sky, the chemtrails, I go out there and say, thank you for my protection. It used to be like, oh my goodness, chemtrails. No, I'm protected. I'm protected. So I just think protection. And that wasp seems to be confirming that. It's like in other ways too. You're protected. So
Yeah, because they'll go in other people's house and sting them. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know. And people are
Yeah.
so afraid of them.
Uh huh. Uh
That's
huh.
what they, yeah.
Yeah. And they don't sting everybody. Like they'll do that. They'll fly around me. I have like I would say they're my friends, but I never quite I never been stung, but I always be like, like I'm one of them people, but they
Yeah,
never sting me.
yeah, yeah.
But they'll sting the person right next to me who's not doing anything.
I know that it's funny in a way. Like bees, I had a bee flying. I was driving a car, a bee flying, landed on my chest, and I'm like, "Oh, hi there." And another person would be, I probably would have.
Yeah, would have forced a sting. They would have forced a sting. Yeah.
Yeah, I have developed a relationship with those bees now, and then the wasp, I guess, same thing. So it's a beautiful, peaceful journey when you have such a relationship with nature. No more fear about things in nature, and that's what I
Absolutely.
feel. So we are definitely accountable to our soul. You know, that's like being accountable to your soul. Your soul ain't afraid of nothing. But we, as in this flesh, we become, because of our parents or whatever, afraid of everything, you know, death and everything. But the soul is like, nah, don't worry about it. It's really not something to be worried
Hmm.
about.
Hmm. And the information is presented to us generally through fear. You know what I'm saying? Fear and like you said, through generational, through parents and through society and movies and entertainment. But it usually comes. All of that is all external stimuli. It's almost all external stimuli. You know what I'm saying? So we get rid of the fear, the guilt, and the doubt, and we are purely accessible to everything that we want to have.
Yeah. Now, Lady Meg, I said I have moles everywhere. Okay. So, as he's saying, it's maybe not so negative. I guess it depends on whether it's poking out or something or the
So yeah, okay. So let me give you a general synopsis, right? So first of all, when it looks like freckles, right? Like when you have a cluster, right, basically, of moles, and especially if they are protruding out the skin, um, this is generally showing like past like the way you died, right? So if there are moles on the ear, on the earlobe, this is significant of drowning,
Ooh.
right? I found that out because my son, uh, when he was a baby, I threw him in the pool, right, to try to teach him how to swim. That's how you do it in the islands. You know what I'm saying? Like you gonna learn today.
Yeah, no classes, huh?
You gonna learn today. And then you go boom, and then he did it and everything. He did good, but that day I noticed the ear on his mole, and I know what that means. And I was like, "Yo!" And so I asked him, "Was he all right?" And he was 2, and he was like, he told me he had a dream that he drowned, and I
Oh,
was like, "What?" And that's when I saw the mole, and I was like, "Yo, I'm tripping." I was like, I didn't see that beforehand. I didn't. So I realized, so like the moles, uh, symbol that one in particular symbolized like drowning. You have other ones that signify being shot. You know, you have other ones that signify fire. And so a lot of the moles will tell you how you died. Other ones will tell you how you're gonna live, like the things that are attracted to the things that you magnetize towards, right? So they all mean something specifically different. Moles on the genitals mean different than moles on the face, right? You know what I'm saying? So moles on the hands mean different than moles on the torso. So everything is significant. I mean, you have like the mounds, like the astrological mounds on the fingers, right? And if you have moles on them, like you can tell like what sign your spouse is, right? You can tell who like your arch enemy is, who to stay away from. I mean, it's so many details in palmistry and in this mole reading business. It's overwhelming. You can get very, very extremely detailed, extremely
wow.
detailed.
Well, I am not going to worry about it, and I'm going to encourage Lady Magi. Don't worry about it. If you're consciously eating to nourish your body and your mind, and then you shouldn't be worried. And that means watching your emotional intelligence, because I think if people are in a low frequency of fear and hate and anger, and they stay there all the time, you're going to have all kind of eruptions on your skin and inside. But if we keep the vibration high of love, compassion, forgiveness, joy, laughter, then the body's going to respond the same, right? It's not going to have cancerous growths on your body and all that if you're up at a high vibration of forgiveness, love, joy, peace, dancing, music. You're in good shape.
And yeah, and I want to emphasize the fact too, also like what you're saying. It's not that it's a negative thing, right? Like the mole readings are. It's like think of your body as a map, right? Like a historical map to
Yeah.
let you know where your soul has been,
Wow.
because the moles on the body are telling you the trip or the travel, the way your soul is traversed. This is the same soul but a different body,
Yeah,
right?
that's deep. That's deep.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go too. Birthmarks, moles, and the print on the palms. Birthmarks are another one too. Birthmarks will tell you a lot of those same exact things that the moles will tell you. It'll tell you the gift that you have in life, depending on the placement or the shape, depending on the color, right? All of those different variations in birthmarks will let you know. You also can find like propensities for things that become more dangerous to you in life based on the birthmark, things that will cause your death, things that are dangerous for you.
So can you bring that out when you have a reading with when you have a meeting with a person? Can you help them understand those soul markings?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I think I
Absolutely.
got to come to New York then. I don't like. I've been there once. I didn't like it. I was born in Chicago. I hate big cities, but I may have to travel to New York to see you so we can just have a conversation over some tea or something.
That would be nice. That would be nice. You know, and I love Florida. Florida is a nice place. I used to stay in Kissimmee back in the
Oh, really?
90s. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was in Kissimmee in the 90s.
You have been around. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in Kissimmee in the 90s in 96 I think, and then I was off is it called John Young Parkway in Orlando?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah, I
live.
stayed off of John Young Parkway too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Now I'll
Yeah.
have to come in the summer. I don't like winters, so I'll hook you. I'll call you up for a meeting in the summer, maybe.
Okay, yeah, listen, I'm with you on that one. I don't like the cold. I'm too
Yeah.
tropical for this, you
Well,
know.
you should come to Florida during the winter or something.
I'm working on that. I'm working on a winter escape. This is actually my first no, okay, so I left, I came back. So this is like my first winter back in New York, you know. Last year I was in Cali, so that was cold. I was in Northern Cali and it was just as cold. And I was like, I could have stayed in New York for this.
I lived in North and in Redwood City, California for 10 years. And you're right. It was a lot of cold. Even in the summer, that fog comes over the hill.
Mm,
It's like, what is this? Yeah.
I can't do it. I mean, I love Florida is nice. I I didn't have a pool, but everybody in my neighborhood had a pool. I just thought it was just this is really nice down there.
Well, the beaches, we have the best beaches. That's why Belize was not my thing because Florida has the best beaches. So
Florida beaches, you can't beat Florida beaches.
yeah, yeah.
Not
So
in the States.
so whenever you come in, let me know. We'll put you up in the house or something so you have a place to stay.
Absolutely. You can in both ways. You have an open invitation to New York too, also.
All right, thank you. But we'll have to do this again. The listeners are saying we need to do this again.
Absolutely.
So
It'll be fun. I enjoyed myself.
forever, ever grateful that we have hooked up. Thank you, Tawita. I'm gonna send her a text tonight and just thank her.
Yes.
Any plans to visit Atlanta this year, Dr. V? And I have a sister in Atlanta, so I usually do. I go to Atlanta once or twice. She's on a whole different consciousness level. So, but yeah, I do have. If I go, so you're in Atlanta, Regina, yeah.
And that's Heru, not Henry, but I know that might have been a typo. But yeah, I do go to Atlanta. I go to Atlanta. I have family there, so I'm in Atlanta.
You
Uh,
too, huh?
yeah, yeah. So I'm always down in Atlanta. I haven't made it in about a year. I will be back though. I'm in Atlanta definitely. I'm thinking about doing a tour. Um, it may be in the winter time because the summertime's packed, but I'm thinking about doing a tour, and Atlanta's definitely gonna be on that list.
Okay, and Live a Life says Tahida. What is that? Tahida. What is that?
She's saying Tahita because you said Tawita
Oh,
because
okay.
it's Ta Taw Ta Hiyda. So it looks like Tawita, but it's Tahita.
Okay, got you.
They were just correcting you.
Love you anyway, Tahida. You are so special in my life. So grateful for her being in my life. And I might just call her Tupac. It's easier.
Yeah. Hey
Part of
man,
her
she's so dope.
That's part of
Yes.
her long name. So I'm like, Tupac. Have a blessed night, everyone. Thanks again for the wisdom note. Thank us. We say thank us, United Soul Spirits. And you, brother, have a nice evening. I'll be in touch.
Definitely. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I love your space. Peace and love to everybody. Guidance and protection. I'll see
Yes.
you next time.
All right. Shalom. And to all my yogi friends out there, namaste and sadnam. We'll see you soon.